No, 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 no! Ah!
CoCoTALK would like to thank our patrons who sponsor our show each week. So warm gratitude goes to Al Hartman, Alan Huffman, Alan Murphy, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Joyce, Brian Weasler, Christina Armstrong, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Disney Saints fan, Eric Canales, Fedor Stamen, Glenn Hewlett, Grant Leedy, Jason Bucata, Jason Downs, Jenna Farron, Ken Reichard, Kyle Etter, Malfunct, Michael Pitsley, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Richard Lorbieski and Boyson Technologies, Rob Inman, Stephen Wagner, Steve Bjork, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C., Tom S., and Tim Lindner. Thank you so much, patrons. CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks, grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to everyone's favorite talk show, CoCoTALK. We're here with episode 168. We're going to talk about our favorite system, the Commodore PET. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready for some 6502 awesomeness.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Commodore PET Talk, where we celebrate the 6502, the greatest processor ever invented in the history of micro technology. Commodore PET, Commodore PET, Commodore
Waterloo
PET.
Basic.
I almost bought one of those.
Waterloo Basic, baby.
Because I just love poking everything into memory.
Absolutely. Oh, and we just been
Super
joined
PET
by
have a 60809 upgrade, I think.
Actually,
Need to
the
suit
Commodore
up here.
PET. Actually, the Commodore PET had better BASIC than the 64 and the VIC-20. I mean, Commodore wimped out, cheaped out, and anyway.
All right, but we digest.
I don't want a computer that needs rust proofing.
Well, and the keyboard was the size of a postcard. So
Well,
there's that.
The great thing was real easy to check under the hood. It had the actual hinge that you could
69.
lift up the hood and see if you needed to, manipulate your spark plugs or anything else in there. So
That's when
It's
you
like
had
the
to
old
use the
80
RAM
and 3A terminals. Yep.
welcome to Commodore PET Talk, everybody. We've got an exciting show for you. We've got a great panel today. We have a man who can see into the future, our Apple guy, Mark D. Overholzer. Welcome, Mark. We've got our backup streamer, a guy who is committed to not blue screen if he can help it. Mark Bosley's with us. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
From down under, a guy who likes to say crikey, David O'Connor's with us. Hello, David.
Crikey, that's a good idea. How
All
you
right.
doing, everyone?
From the Great White North in Canada, it's L. Curtis Boyle. How's it
Good
going,
day.
Curtis? All right. We got a guy who likes switches almost as much as Jason does. Rick Euland's with us. Hey, Rick.
How do?
All right. It's always sunny in Arizona, and he's always a happy guy. Ron Delvo.
It's W. Ron Delvo.
W. That's Warren Delvo.
Yeah. No, it's Wallace Ronald is my real
All
name.
right.
Oh,
I feel like I don't know you anymore.
I should be W.
whatever your
Ronald.
name is.
You heard it here
You've been a
first,
fraud
folks.
this whole time?
Or
Ollie.
it could
Oh
be
my
Rondo,
gosh. Did I just do
Rondo
that?
Deluxo.
And don't get me started on the Patrick versus Rick
debacle either. That's another...
That's coming.
We got a guy who gets things on eBay and makes us all jealous. Brian Weezer's with us. Hello, Brian.
Hello, welcome to the show.
We have a man whose name is so nice, we must say it thrice. We're talking about none other than
Nick Marentes.
How you doing there, Nick?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. The originator of the phrase.
Stop right there.
Jason, the Coco Man Reichert, is with us. Hello, Jason.
Why, hello, Stevie. Is everyone excited? I've got my beverage. Gonna have a great show.
Oh, I know we will. We will. Is your weasel greased?
It's all greased up and ready to go, Steve.
Fantabulous. The music man, Brian Schubring, is with us. He's muted, but he's here. Looks like he's performing surgery. Brian, how's the patient?
How do I sound?
Oh, you sound wonderful. You sound like Nick Marentes does sometimes. He comes in chipmunky when he joins us.
Alvin?
Like a chipmunk on helium.
That's it.
That was Nick during his Tiger Beat cover story. He was just hitting puberty at that time. So
Absolutely.
Right before they dropped.
Alan Murphy's with us. Hello, Alan Murphy. Welcome to the program.
Howdy.
He knows the way to San Jose, and he likes it. Michael Furman's with us. Mikey, how are you this afternoon?
Hey guys, how's it going? Doing great here today.
From the Amigos Retro Gaming group of guys, Aaron is with us. Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
How y'all doing?
Welcome. Thanks for being here. And last but certainly not least, the Thunder from Down Under, who also likes to say,
"Oh, crikey!"
Nicholas Marentes.
Hey, howdy, partners.
Howdy, partners. Yeehaw.
I love it. Sounds kind of Western.
Yeah, actually, you do a better stop right there than Jason does. Can we get your stop right there, Nick?
Stop right there.
That's pretty good.
Well, as always, we've got a great show for you today. Got a big show, really big show here in store for you. And Curtis, where are we going to go with this now? Aaron's here. You got some stuff to talk about, some things to show, some things to tell. What do we do first?
Well, I was going to ask Aaron. I don't want to play the whole video because we want people to actually go visit your YouTube and actually get your link counts up. So is there a particular segment or segments you think we should play to kind of give people the idea of what your AtomicPi CoCo project goal is?
You're starting the show with me, are you? Oh, man. I told Curtis, I said, this is a ham and egg project. No one's going to give a crap about this. He's like, you got to get on the show. I was like, all right, man. I guess I'm going to talk about it. So, heck, fire it up, Curtis, and we'll talk about it.
Do you want to Aaron? Do you want to introduce it and let us know what the heck we're about ready to see?
A couple months ago when the CoCo keys to USB popped out, I don't know how long it's been, but I remember thinking to myself, man, somebody could do something with that. That sounds pretty cool. And I'd already done the C64 Pi, that shtick. And I saw a lot of people were making the CoCo Pis, and you did the video on the CoCo Pi and stuff. And I thought, man, that's not the worst idea, because I had a CoCo 2 here that was just sitting here empty. The board's no good. And so, but I wasn't going to do it because I'd already done a Commodore one, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like Linux. I'm just not a Linux guy. I'm not good at it. I'm a simple country boy. We don't have Linux down these parts. And so I had no reason to fool with it. And I thought, well, I've got this AtomicPi that's been sitting behind my TV set for about a year. I've done nothing with it. And the AtomicPi was it's a Raspberry Pi sort of knockoff that came out last year. They're still around. You can get one for like $35-40. But the difference is this thing will let you run Windows on it, Windows 10. If you're an idiot, and you cut it down like you wouldn't believe, because this thing's got 2 gig of memory and a 16 gig onboard storage, and so it's hard to compress Windows 10 down to 16 gigs.
Absolutely.
But if you chop every conceivable thing off of it, I mean everything, and you do a bunch of craziness, you could pull it off. And so I did it, and I thought, well, if we could fit this in the CoCo with one of these USB CoCo adapters, you might have something that I could get into. And so it's basically what I did. the CoCo had just enough space in there for me to stuff all the crap in there to get it to work, but it worked. And so instead of having a Raspberry Pi with Linux on it, I've got this Windows capable machine. I mean, barely capable, which there wasn't much of a project. And so we had talked the last time I was on about bringing new users in. If you remember that episode, you guys did. And, what would be the easiest way to do it? We talked about the SDC, which was, I told you, that it would be great to have this emulated because it makes it loading games so easy. We talked about this. And, I'm all about games. I don't do anything but games. And so what I thought I would do, since the AtomicPi portion of the event was pretty mundane, just stick stuff in, turn stuff on, I use a Windows front end, emulation front end called CoinOps Next. And what I did was just chopped it down and installed a CoCo front end on it. So what I mean by that is I use it instead of using RetroPie or one of these front ends that you would use in Linux. I'm using this Windows one. And since I was more familiar with it, it'll let me go in there and soup it up to where I could run stuff with MES, which is the MAME basically. MES is the old name for what this was, and there's no one out there making audio visual stuff for the CoCo for front ends. I know this is sort of going outside the realm of the show, but if you use any front ends like arcade front ends or anything like that, which a front end is just a program to make it easier to load like ROMs, all right? Yeah. And makes it look more pretty. There was no one out there that had videos for the CoCo games or logos that were already transparently made or videos. A lot of that stuff was also. I didn't realize I was going to be getting into that business, but I ended up having to make all the videos and all. I did find someone that had scanned all the cartridge boxes in, so I could use those. Pretty much everything else I had to scan in. But anyway, at the end of the day, what you've got is a front end that will let you run all the cartridges visually, and I've rigged up about 25 disc games so far that will run off of it. That's really all there was to it. I mean, it was Curtis helped me with some of the command line stuff, getting MES to load up a disc, for example, from command line was. I had to go back and brush up on my DOS stuff basically because it's been so long since I did it, since I used the SD card thing. It ended up working out pretty good, man. I think. Curtis, if you want to spin that thing up, you can, show them a couple things. That was pretty much the long and short of it.
No, that's cool. I understand what you're saying. The front end, like Emulation Station, or there's a few other ones that too. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Okay, well, I'll first of all, I'll show the hardware, so it'll show the CoCo 2 case and the keyboard and stuff that you set up. And then we'll fast forward to some of the stuff you did for the interface thing, which I think is the really interesting part. And of course, you're using Paul Fiscarelli's, keyboard adapter, so the real CoCo 2 keyboard's being used in this as well.
Yeah, Paul really helped me out this week because I broke the USB port off my first one because of the way I have it rigged. So he sent me another one this week. He rushed it in for me, so I appreciated that.
Okay, let me share the old screen here if I can. Well, that's a new menu.
You have to hear that when it's live.
I love software updates. Honest, I do. Hey, you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looks like a
you guys have to let me
CoCo.
know how the volume is here. So.
Board. I figured I'd just show you right now before, because I don't ever want to take it apart again. So as you can see, it's a mild mannered.
That's a CoCo I got from the Hillbilly Flea Market, by the way. God bless them
Pop
down
the
there.
lid off here.
Hillbilly Flea Market.
There's no screws in it right now. So
there's the
It's
Atomic
actually
Pi
pretty-
back there. It's
pretty
got a big
well.
old heat sink on it, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's a fairly powerful little device.
What you've got here now.
Has it got like
is
an
a
Atom processor or
slightly
something?
different interior.
You know, you had to ask.
And that
I
is
don't remember
the
off the top of my head.
AtomicPi.
All right.
Now, you can see here I added a real shoddy USB, additional USB. This thing only had one, and so there's that. Now this is the actual onboard USB, and that runs to this. That's mounted in a cartridge slot. That's just a simple USB 3 hub.
Okay, that's cool. And that's in the cartridge slot there, so you got your little side door.
SD card.
By the way, I didn't destroy this
software
case
load,
in any
you got
way,
your
so
Yeah.
no one has to flame me
power.
later.
The only thing coming out is your power and your HDMI. There's too much cabling here. I'll be the first to admit it, but I didn't know how much I'd need, so I overcompensated as I always do. So being neat was never my strong suit. You can see the antennas.
It's true.
Here and here are for your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. I pulled this off an old laptop, and you can see the connections. Right, come on, zoom in, dummy. Right there.
Okay, there's your leads. Yeah, your Wi-Fi head. Okay, gotcha.
That's your Raspberry Pi. So what makes this thing go? Well,
I said Raspberry Pi like an
Yeah.
idiot, but
taking this thing apart, I'm going to do it just to show you. So
this was an
These
interesting.
here.
This was an interesting mounting here of the
Look,
CoCo
down in that
keys.
hole
It's way down
You'll
into the
see
depths
where
of
it
the
is.
box there.
Oh wow.
That's a Raspberry, or that's a CoCo keys to USB adapter.
Okay, Frodo says it does have an
the,
Atom processor.
Thank you,
handmade
Frodo.
USB port.
Johnny on the spot.
And
Yeah.
that is a great device, and I got to thank the fella that makes it because he's helped me out a lot, including giving me a real good deal on a replacement part. So I'm going to put this back together, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like when everything's put
So that's
back
the
in.
guts.
So, stand
Yeah,
by.
I mean, like I said, it ain't rocket science.
Yeah,
So-
that's cool.
We've put it back together. I haven't put the screws in yet, but show you what we've got here. So when you've got it closed up, I can drag this over here. What you've got there in the cartridge slot is your hub, and then the back of this thing is pretty simple. These ports just blocked out.
I had to shave that HDMI cable
And,
down with a knife. I had to
got
do a little whittling, as they say around here.
Okay,
To get
little
it.
whittling.
But it's amazing how much excess crap is on that thing. You cut it right off, and it fit right in there.
Pi, but it's just such a hassle. And at the end of the day,
That's the
it's
most
a waste of
advanced
money.
cassette port I've ever seen,
This
though.
thing
Yeah.
worked just
Well,
better because it's
as
more
I'm
sturdy.
pathetically
And then I
describing
can,
here, when I did
if I
the
need to actually
Commodore,
plug the cable
I got
into it,
all
I've
these
got a little
breakout
adapter, so it's
cables
easier
and
than
mounted all this stuff in the back of the
And then,
Commodore
again,
with
same thing
the
with the
glue
power.
and
I
stuff.
could've put a-
And at the
could've
end of the
ripped it up. It's
day,
easier
it was
to
just
have
a
a
waste
power
of money
cable.
and a waste of
And then,
time. I mean, because listen,
is
some
the power
people make
cable
stuff
that we
real
use with
pretty,
the
and that's
AtomicPi.
not me, obviously.
Top
I'm a
dog when they say
functionality guy. So,
power adapter
and this
written
thing's
on there
functional.
for ease of
It's got
use.
2 cords that come out
This
the
is just
back, and they work. That's all I need. Mounting a female
the one thing
HDMI
I
and stuff,
added,
it's just a waste of
in
time.
My downtime
for
waiting
me.
my part to come in was this right here, which is a momentary switch, just to turn it on and off. That's all there is to it. I mean, when you plug it in, it automatically comes on, but this way you can turn it on and off whenever it's been activated. So it's a help.
Neat.
That's it. There
Yeah.
is your Atomic CoCo.
Okay, let's see if we
And
can
we will
fast forward
fire this thing
to-
up and see what you think.
So, you've seen, and we are into the
Oh
the
yeah,
directory
I
of
like
this.
that.
Now,
That's like
you
very
can
much
see-
like an emulation
I mean, it's
station.
not rocket science. The little monitor has the video. The cartridges are on the right, and then behind them.
I'm no
whenever
artist.
you
I
scroll
wanna-
to a new
I wanna
one, you'll see a
reiterate
little
that.
picture
Ah, this is good,
pop
man.
up
I
in
like
the
this.
Video. Now,
You need to remove the door.
I had to shoot all these videos. If you can believe it.
Oh, yeah.
And so.
Yeah, so yeah, this is like your
did
track screen.
resize them nicely. I mean,
That's
eventually I
right.
figured out
That's
how to capture video out of mess and have it fit my little.
Yeah, this is the part that
monitor
really
here.
grabbed me when he was
but,
showing it to me a few weeks ago. That like this
again,
just looks awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the best.
Like I said, someone went
Honestly,
through
I did the best
and
I
had,
could.
and had
I'm-
scanned all the
it's sort of
covers.
not
That
my bag.
And I will say,
The art-
this
the
part
art
wasn't
side
that tough
of
to
this,
rig,
which is always
y'all,
just the thorn in my side.
because
Just
this
same
is
as our
sort of
case
what
that when
these
it
things
comes
are
to
meant to
woodworking,
do.
it's
Do me a
a load
favor,
of
Curtis.
ROMs.
Curtis,
That's
mute
what
his
we
video
do,
because
stuff.
he's talking over himself
You'll
right
see a
now.
couple of these.
You
that
need
that
two of
don't
me
work.
talking at once at all
Yeah.
times to get
Yeah.
to get the story across. But when you this is sort of what these front ends were made to do. Just load up a ROM. This is
Yeah.
just like a console.
Yep.
This wasn't too bad to rig. The much harder thing, which is coming up here, is rigging up the discs. That was I didn't think that was going to be that big a deal until the first time I tried to do it. Then I was like, holy moly, it was not easy to because then you have to get in the command line stuff. But this part
Yeah.
wasn't too bad. The videos were hard because to get MAME to capture video at the resolution I needed. This is gonna sound weird, but I had to drop MAME's resolution down as low as it would go, and then when I captured the video, it fit in there pretty nicely.
Because at first I was getting video on that screen. It was like a postage stamp because I had the resolution so high. It was odd. I learned a lot about capturing video during this. I will say that.
That's cool.
So and you had some cartridges you had problems with too. So go ahead.
I did. I had a couple cartridges that haven't gotten to load yet. Although honestly, I haven't got. It's not like I sat around trying because I had so much video and stuff to render that I just kind of like I'll get to it later. But in MESS, for whatever reason, I couldn't get RoboCop to work. What was the other? It was one of those. It was a Dungeons. It wasn't Dungeons Dragons.
Castle Theragood. Yeah,
that's it, man. The one I couldn't pronounce. I couldn't get that one to load, and there was another one right off the top of my head that I couldn't get to load. But I mean, I'll figure it out eventually. Yeah.
So what we're looking at here, this screen we're looking at here is when you boot it up. This is what you see on your screen, isn't it? It's like a menu system, so you can go and select what you want.
That's right.
That's awesome.
And this runs out of window. I mean, this is not like custom made for the AtomicPi. Like anybody could run this right on their Windows machine. I mean, it's just like. It runs Windows. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to use it because I'm familiar with this setup as opposed to, I mean, I've used RetroPie and stuff, but for me, it's a hassle. This is a lot easier. I mean, at the end of the day for me, because I'm the dumb guy. I don't know much about Linux. And then you run the cartridge. Now, and you probably know this, Stevie, when you're in, and probably a lot of you guys, when you're in MAME or MESS, you have to use scroll lock to go into partial keyboard emulation.
Yep.
So the good thing about this is, and I figure you probably did this too, Stevie, is I just rigged the joystick. I'm using a Pi joystick, just which I'm showing you. I mean, a PS4 joystick, and I just rigged a couple. Two of the analog buttons have buttons down. I rigged one up as a scroll lock and one as the tab, so I can go in and make changes. And then I rigged it up to where if you want to leave the game, you could just hit the back and start buttons, and it just backs you back out to the.
That's pretty much what I'd done too with an Xbox style controller too.
I used Xbox at first. You probably realized, Stevie, that when you got into this, that it's you can almost make this to where you don't need a keyboard, but you sort of. If you really want to go through each game and figure out what you're going to need on your joystick, but a lot of games ask for weird stuff. Sometimes they want you to put your name in. Sometimes you have to hit clear or S.
Yeah.
You really, I think the idea that you could just run one of these just with a joystick is probably, I mean, you could probably get all the games together that you don't need a keyboard on and put those in a separate listing. But I mean, it doesn't bother me because I'm right beside the keyboard. But I mean, it is something. That's a little bit. And I haven't set up the controls for every conceivable game in this. I just, basic controls across the board. But you can, for the most part, you can get in and out of the games pretty easily with this. Something else that's a pain in the butt on the CoCo is that there's no standard joystick port. As player one. And this is purely for laziness. But basically, what I did was, so you've got two analog sticks on these joysticks. I rigged this one up as player 2, and I use this up here as the player 2 button. So basically, the right stick is player 2, so I can use the same joystick for both players.
I actually map player 1 and 2 both to the left stick, so no matter what the game wants, that's what I get.
Yeah, that's not the worst idea.
Same concept, yeah. I had the exact same motivation of I want a game console experience, and I have my Raspberry Pi in my living room set up where I can do 90% what I want with the joystick, and especially in the world of cartridges. I've even got a reboot key to my right bumper, so if I need to reboot the CoCo, I just press a button, and I can reboot it if I want to start the game over.
Yeah, and I will say this front end, of course, now this is a front end you're looking at, but it's still running MAME, which is the same thing you're running in RetroPie or whatever. It's just, MESS, MAME. And so it's exactly the same. You can everything you said in your video would hold true if people wanted to rig their controls that way. Now, like I said, these disc games were a little bit trickier. And I mentioned this in the video. I had to make all these icons for the most part, a lot of them. So some of them are just embarrassingly stupid. But I mean, I did everything I could. So I mean, a lot of games you couldn't find any box art or anything to make these icons out of. So when you see the scrolling logos, those are all I made probably at least 2/3 of those. Some of them I managed to download called like a Zaxxon or something that was made on another machine. This is the stuff that are all disk based. I had to separate these because of the way they load. I mean, there may be some way to have them all in the same directory, but I kind of like having them in a separate directory anyway. for just to keep them straight in my head. And also, since they don't look the same as the cartridges, the art style matches if you put them in a separate thing. And I think about at some point when I get done putting all the disc ones in, I'll probably rig something up with the cassette. But a lot of cassette games you can get on disc, so that's not a huge deal. This works exactly the same way. Just scroll down to what you want. Yeah, I didn't have a good logo for that, so listen. There's some straight up thievery, yo, in this area. I'm just gonna tell you,
admits nothing.
If anyone asks, I mean, I made up like that one. I just took the card. I just screen captured that and then colored it. Like that one, I just combined it. It's a lot of crapola there, guys.
Yeah.
So your mileage, you can do whatever you want if you ever try to do this, but I thought it looked okay.
Looks excellent. Yeah.
So, of course, the disc you had, like I said, you had to type in the commands, and the good thing about having an actual CoCo sitting beside me was I could actually load the disc up to see which file I had to load.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you'd have to mount each one of these discs in mess and then write down what you needed. So it made it a lot quicker.
So my question: did the CoCo have bank switched cartridges? Was that the problem?
There were a few.
Yeah, there were a few. Robocop's one of them. Predator's another. Rampage used the full 32K ROM. I can't remember. There's some weird things in Rampage. It's causing problems with the Gimme X too. So
I was just wondering because
I'm sure there's a setting in there or something you can flip. Like I said, I sped right past them, fellas. I'll be honest with you. So you can see when this comes up. This has to you have to actually have the command set up to run whatever the load thing is. And if you can hear this, you can actually simulate a disk drive loading. There's a way to speed this part up, but I thought it was kind of funny. So it didn't take that long. So I just kind of left it in. I always think it's kind of neat to see a phantom typer at the helm. But once you run these games, they just run like they normally would with everything just like exactly the same as the cartridge stuff. And then I found that once I figured out a pattern to do these, adding the disc games at first was taking me forever. But now that I've gotten into the groove, I can add one pretty quick now. So I've got a big list of my favorites, and I'm just sort of going through there when I have some spare time. But that's pretty much the long and short of it. Just some front end stuff. Like I said, nothing in the ballpark of the projects you guys are doing, but I don't know, somebody might get a kick out of it.
No, big time.
There you go.
That is really neat.
Cool. I really like it. Yeah, excellent work.
Exactly.
Yeah, the selector is the big thing. I mean, the AtomicPi, like you said before, is kind of like a Raspberry Pi, which several people have done. But having a front end that's this easy to use, where you have one master controller that simulates both joysticks simultaneously, plus you can actually access some of the main mess menus as well, so you can change settings and stuff here. That whole package together is what really gets me on this. Like, this is very slick and well done.
Right.
I will say that the VCC and whatever. I mean, you're running Windows. We didn't look at the desktop, but I mean, you can run whatever you want. So I mean, this is just I've got it booting up to this, but effectively you could run any emulator you want. I had some other 8-bit computers in this lineup, but I kind of took them out because I was concentrating on the CoCo. But I mean, it had enough capability to run most stuff. Like I said, the big difference is it just runs Windows. That's really about the only difference in it. Everything else, power-wise and whatnot's pretty much about the same.
Neat. Yeah, the video that I did that would probably help people do some of this is I did a video that said turn MAME into a game console. So make a CoCo game console with MAME.
Yeah.
And I went through the whole thing on how to map joysticks and how to map the joystick buttons to the menus and bring up the menus and be able to load files and stuff. What you've done with the GUI front end is really the secret sauce there. That's the cool part. That's the sparkle dust.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But on a CoCoPi with MAME, you can do 90% of that, but it's just text-based menus. But with the way I set up my controllers, I can, other than launching the text-based menu, once I've launched a CoCo, I can pull up software all using my joystick. But be able to have that scroll wheel and kind of spin around and just pick a game and click on that game and have it launch, that's priceless,
Well, you could actually, I don't know how much you fooled around with RetroPie, any of y'all, but RetroPie is obviously a very good front end, powerful front end for the Pies, and you could probably do a lot of the same. You could probably do the exact same thing if you took the Notion. To be honest with you, that's not in my realm of expertise, so I didn't fool it. And I've done a little bit of work with it, but I've forgotten it. It's been so long since I messed with it. But in fact, you could probably use some of the same configuration files that I made up, just because I mean, you got to think it's running the exact same emulator. It's just a matter of how you deliver it. And the front end, rigging the front end part wouldn't be that tough. It's just a matter of how you rig the front end on RetroPie to use the configuration files you need to load up floppies, for example. I'd say loading up the ROMs wouldn't be that tough.
There's another one that I used to use that was started with an M, Max something for Windows. It was like Max. I don't remember what the hell it was, but it's a license thing. But I got it when I bought my tank stick, so I got a license for this Max whatever. And that one lets you pull from the MAME directories. It pulls things like the marquees and the snaps and things like that.
Yeah.
So it creates a similar interface like that, but it didn't have the live video. That's a neat feature, like when you hover over a machine and you see like a little video of the game in action.
Well,
that's like next level right there, you know.
That's really it's not for, I mean, yeah, I guess, but I mean, the bottom truth is this has all been well trodden territory if you're into the emulation scene.
No,
I used GameX and Hyperspin, and there's a place out there called MU Movies that you can get all the video and stuff. Like I said, the difference is there is nothing for the
There's
CoCo.
nothing for the CoCo, right? Because it's not,
So it takes much longer to capture the video and make up the art than it does to actually rig the games. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
I mean, you only have to do it once, right? So then you're done. So not too bad. It's kind of fun. Not to mention, I feel like I get to make up the logos that some of these games never had. So I just pull crap out of my butt, basically.
Yeah, that's neat. That is very cool.
I'm waiting to get a phone call from somebody. It's like, what did you do?
It looks awesome, man.
Yeah, and Evan Wright got the name right there, Maximus Arcade. Yeah, that was one of the front ends that I had.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And it'll load any emulator in the back end and load the different ROMs for you, and it creates the menus and all that kind of stuff. So neat, really neat. Yeah. So, I mean, basically what you've done is you've taken an environment that's existed on a lot of different emulation platforms and you've tuned it to the CoCo. You've made it CoCo, and that's the cool part. And that's and that's what we love about you. So that's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Keeping it CoCo, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So excellent. Cool.
I was impressed. This would make a good kiosk, like when Henry Redfield does his actual arcade cabinet thing.
Yeah.
This would be a nice front end for his too. Much more
Henry is using a Windows-based PC stick. So because this is all Windows central, Windows centric, it could be transferred over pretty easy.
This is ultra portable.
Yeah.
I could zip this up and you can install it on any computer. I've got it on D. If you put it on D, you can run it immediately. If you put it on another drive, you may have to change some paths. But that's pretty much it.
No, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, nice. And if anybody else does set this up here, if you want to help Aaron, doing some of the artwork and the video for games that he hasn't hit yet, because there's probably another 1,000 or so to go. So
no, you're killing me. I've done 25 floppy disk games. What are you doing to me?
You're killing me, Smalls.
Well, we got that 3,000 disc image that we could build on.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Good luck, fellas.
Yeah.
Sounds like a community effort.
That's neat. It takes a village to raise an idiot. So together we can. Together we can do it. So.
But does it take an idiot to raise a village?
All right. How about we do this? How about we take a commercial break and then we'll come back with news with L. Curtis Boyle. Does that work for you, L. Curtis?
Oh, sure.
All right.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord This Week? Well, this week, we give a welcome to arcade shopper Gregory McGill, who has an extensive collection of 8 and 16-bit machines. Cargo Raul Diaz, he joined us by way of CoCoTALK. The CoCo was his childhood computer, and he's come to Discord to get help fixing his broken CoCo. The color red, Lucas, just recently got a CoCo too, and he was invited by James D. on Atari Age. And as always, a special thanks to Alpin Grace, Voice on Tech, our CoCoTALK patrons, David Ladd, Paul Fiscarelli, Rob Inman, and Terry Steggy for boosting the Discord server. Join us on Discord at discord.cocotalk.live. See you on Discord, everybody!
And now these messages.
Hello, I'm David Ladd. Thank you for watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live CoCoTALK show.
Good day. This is Nick Marentes. Crikey. After you buy Gunstar...
Stop right there.
Okay, fine. After you bought Gunstar, go ahead and buy your copy of the Coco Fest edition of...
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
It's a quarter of the quality at half the cost.
ESP 8266-01 RS232 TTL Wi-Fi network, 4-pin DIN, Fitbanger, DB9, PC IP, DriveWire.
This portion of CoCoTALK brought to you by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex, thought to help you with your floppy life.
In a world where hard drives rule and floppies are superfluous, one man, one legend, one old fart dared to learn the floppy and took the brunt of jokes. Then all hard drives and SSDs died, but the floppy survived. And the only man who knew floppies became a legend once more. Floppy Life, the David Ladd story. This summer, straight to YouTube.
8-slot MPI, floppy drive, CoCo SDC, Sound Speech Pack, Orchestra 90, RS232 pack, modem pack, Super IDE. You start adding all those together if you want them all usable at the same time. Well, guess what? You just went over the 4-slot MPI. David Ladd. Oh, I'm much happier breaking stuff.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
And we're here. We are back. We started off with the most exciting news that's hit the CoCo this week. We've seen the Atomic Cocoa Pi, Retro Pi, Atomic Awesome Thing. Thank you, Aaron. And now for things nowhere near as cool, Curtis Boyle.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. These are going to pale by comparison. But...
You're killing me.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Hey, first up, Carlos Camacho did this little mini CoCo 3D print here using a resin printer, and I think it looks pretty darn impressive.
It actually does. That's the CoCo Mini. Look at that.
Oh, how do I get one?
Either that or he's got giant hands. I haven't figured it out yet. But
that is wicked.
It's really detailed.
The only thing it needs is a better badge over there. That's kind of ghetto fabulous.
And he makes badges, so I'm sure that's coming.
We don't need no stinking badges. Yeah. No, that's really cool. I like that. I like the black bezel, the keys, the red brake key. It's got the
He's
memory
even got like
badge.
the slots for the air vents.
The
and
air
stuff.
vents and everything. Yeah, that is cool.
Now we just need an atomic-sized AtomicPi. Now you can put that inside.
Put the AtomicPi inside.
You put
there.
a Pi Zero in that one, man. You're good to go.
Absolutely.
It's just like this C64 Mini.
Yeah, it's a CoCo Mini. Very cool, Carlos.
Next up, Eric Sperano. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So he's starting to learn assembly language, and he wants to make a boot. Now we've got some auto boots that kind of like I know Todd Wallace or Dragon made a boot that, or a program that actually gives you kind of like what CPU you're running.
What is this a boot, anyways?
That's the Canadian version. So at any rate, he actually wanted to learn how to use the Gimme for graphics. So he did a graphics screen, but he's also designing a whole boot system that's going to be based on this. So he's not done that part yet. But this looks pretty cool, I think. If it's up here. So you can see he's got this nice, and it's all graphical. It's not just text. So it'll tell you like which CPU you're running. Eventually, it's not all this is done yet. How much RAM you have, and then you also have the boot. You know, do you want to boot into Nitrous 9, Fusix, SDC Explorer, or straight to Disk Basic, etc. On your SDC. So it's a pretty impressive, feat for doing this. For his very first assembly language project.
Yeah, neat.
And it also looks really nice because it looks like more like a modern PC BIOS because it's actually using the graphics mode to draw everything rather than just text.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's wicked.
I'm actually more interested in the thing on the shelf than the CoCo.
Oh, that whole patch thing back there?
Looks like an analog synthesizer.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, go on.
We must inquire.
Ooh, squirrel! I can tell who the hardware guys are on the show.
Yeah, there's a bit of Eurorack going on there by the looks of it.
Some type of patch panel of some form. Yeah. Erico.
Yep. Erico has been doing all this wicked, semi-graphic stuff, which we'll be getting more to on the GameON News segment too. But he's uploaded a file here, and he's got a request to the community here. It basically is drawing some semi-graphic stuff in the background, and he wants to be able to compress it down a little bit for an upcoming project that he's working on. So for the programmers here, he needs to compress this down to around 300 bytes. And right now it's taking about 569. So a little bit of a challenge there for people out there who want to help him out. And as we'll see with some of the semi-graphics animations, he's doing some stuff that just looks awesome considering the low res that he's dealing with.
Yeah. Is this the one with the guy was dancing and everything?
Yeah, that'll be coming up in the GameON News segment. So
neat.
We'll get to see those. So, but anyway, anybody wants to help, go to Facebook, find the link here in the CoCo group, and give them some response. Next up, this is an interview we're still trying to set up here, thanks to David O'Connor, with Martin Brossman, who's part of, is it Moog or Moog?
It's actually pronounced Moog.
It's pronounced Moog, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's active in Moog, and he's also was active as a person that worked at Radio Shack back in the day too, and actually was quite into the CoCo back in the day. And we're trying to line up the interview for him, but he added this nice post when he joined the group here. So there's pictures of him, at various ages, when he's a manager, when he's just an employee, demonstrating the CoCo at a show, everything else too. So we'll get more into this when we actually get the interview set up, but it was kind of neat seeing some of the historical stuff. And he's in Australia too, is he?
No, he's in America.
He's in America? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to getting that interview set up. So hopefully once that's done, we'll try to be able to give you a bit of a pre-announcement so people can come and ask questions. Next up, Alison DeNu has been recently recovering some of her old CoCo cassettes here that have been, not touched since the early 80s type thing. And she's actually been able to recover some of the source code from some of the programs she did from back in the day. And then she's put up these little things, you can download and take a look at them and figure out what they do. And because sometimes she doesn't remember herself. So she's been doing this off and on. I think she's done a couple of these now. So it's kind of fascinating. And I wish I had still had a lot of my old tapes, because I know there's some probably weird stuff I wrote back when I was in like grade 9 or something that I don't remember either, that I wouldn't mind seeing, where I was at that time programming wise. So that's an interesting project. So any of the rest of you that have, old computer cassettes kicking around that might have some of your old code, it might be interesting to see kind of an archaeological dig into your own coding.
Yeah. I remember on an early episode of the CoCo Crew podcast, they were talking about a program that would go through kind of like what the Grease Weasel does with pulling flux off of floppies, and it would look at tapes and it would let you see what type of data is on the tape. So if you had like unreadable parts of your tape, you could maybe get a piece here and a piece there and kind of like, kind of forensically scour the contents of magnetic media. I don't remember what that program was called, but I remember them talking about that years ago. So there was a tool to help, we'll call it the tape weasel for lack of any better term. But there was a program that would help you get stuff, kind of look at what's on a tape, like almost like, bring it all in and let you get a directory of what was on there. I wish I could remember
if it's like a weasel style thing, you might even be able to recover some tapes that are partly screwed up too.
Yeah, potentially. So, but that's cool that she has gotten that. I remember reading on one of the Boston albums, it was at the third stage or something like that, where the tapes had sat around so long. When you read the liner notes, you're like, yeah, one thing we discovered was when tapes sit around for a while, they kind of stick to themselves, and we had to get these things and unstick them and remaster them and stuff like that. So
that was third stage. Yeah, that was like an 8-year album. I remember that.
Yeah.
So
the big thing with open reel tape was it suffers from a thing called sticky shed syndrome, which is where the binder that holds the magnetic media to the backing actually disintegrates, and it becomes this sticky, gooey mess. And if you play the tapes, they literally stick to the tape transport and jam up. So what you've got to do is you've got to put them in a temperature-controlled oven, usually at around 50 degrees Celsius for about 8 hours, and you bake the tape. And it gets rid of all the moisture in the binder, and it gives you an opportunity to play the tapes again.
And kind of re-record them.
Who came up with that idea?
But let's put a tape. Let's bake this tape
Let's
for
bake
60
the tape,
minutes.
man.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, you can see in the background behind my computer monitor here my reel-to-reel decks. Actually you can't. 'Cause
Yes, yeah,
it's
I
sharing
just
screen, but
Just take his word for it, guys.
yeah. But
yeah,
but
I just figured some
interesting-
engineer was trying to nuke his lunch there and just grabbed the wrong thing because he was tired and just accidentally discovered it. That's my guess.
No, it's interesting you mentioned that about Alison restoring all her old programs. I actually did the same thing when I got my CoCo SDC and went through all my old cassettes, and everything that was on them was still playable. So I've transferred the whole lot onto my CoCo SDC, so I might upload some too, like you said, Steve.
Yeah, I've got a few cassettes buried in a box somewhere. I should probably dig them out and see if I still have anything on them, but I haven't looked at them in years. And I gave away a lot of my tapes when I got my drive back in the day, so I probably don't have too many of them. But like I said, it's interesting kind of seeing your history of programming, because she mentioned one of her first comments. As you can see, I had not yet learned that you can concatenate basic commands onto a single line.
Yeah, right.
So it's a one line. I remember doing that too.
Yeah.
You can use a colon? What?
Yeah.
Not on school assignments. I got a failing grade from one for doing that.
Really?
Yeah, I did that too because they wanted everything easy for the teacher to read. Lazy bums.
You got rewarded for inefficiencies.
Yeah. Well, it's readability. It's like doing flow charts and stuff there. I never ever use that for real life. I might do a point sheet, with points of how the program is going to work, but I would never sit there and draw those stupid symbols. This one here, Jonathan Felchlin posted on Facebook about the availability of a CoCo 2 cap replacement kit, and they're talking about doing ones for CoCo 1s and CoCo 3s and stuff as well. So I think there's some other people that also offer these types of things. So if you have one of the CoCo's old ones where the caps are starting to leak and stuff, this is a nice replacement kit where you get all the exact right ones you need in one package.
Very cool. And I know there are some schools of thought, because they say there's been some phrases tossed around. I think it was by what's his name? The guy who's always usually very abrasive on Facebook, Eric Gavriluk, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was the one that's saying, I'm so sick and tired of everybody thinking they're just going to recap everything because for no reason and this and that and the other. So I guess there are different schools of thought or people's feelings on how people, when they recap or why they recap or do they need to recap. I don't know enough about that, but having a source for the right capacitors is a good thing to know.
Yeah, without having to hunt them all down.
Yeah, right.
I think in general, basically it is. Obviously, if you've got leaking caps, you should replace those.
Right.
Or if they're bulging. If your
or
caps are starting to bulge on the top of the electrolytic ones, time to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or if your machine's acting erratically, like maybe that's something to try. Like if something's starting to go. So.
Although I've got to say that as someone who's done both radio and digital, every tube radio capacitor needs to be redone. Digital caps, like you say, are on an as-needed basis. I don't think there's a single CoCo out there that absolutely needs to be recapped sight unseen. There must be something wrong with it before you do that.
Completely agree with you, Rick. If you look behind me, once again you can't see it, but everyone's seen my big bank of synthesizers and everything. I've got synthesizers in here that are some are nearly 50 years old. There's not a single synthesizer, I don't think, in this room that doesn't have its original capacitors in it. They've all got their original capacitors and they all still work perfectly to spec. Now, the big disadvantage with just going in and randomly replacing capacitors is there's more to capacitors than just microfarads and volts. There's things like, series resistance, and there's ripple current ratings, and there's temperature ratings, and there's temperature coefficients, and all sorts of other things. And quite often, if you just go in willy-nilly and you replace capacitors without knowing what their specific role in a specific part of the circuit is, and you just replace them with any other capacitor, you might actually cause damage at the worst case scenario, or best case scenario, you might compromise the quality of the performance of the product. So when you replace capacitors, you've got to make sure that you replace them with the right type, for not just electrolytics, but the right type of electrolytic for that particular purpose.
And that's why I leave it to you experts.
Well, I have had the experience where I've had a CoCo 3 that was completely doing dumb stuff, and I went ahead and ordered one of those recap kits from eBay and had wonderful results ever since. So I guess your mileage will vary.
Yeah, if you do it right, if you replace it with the right capacitors with a kit that's specifically designed for it, it won't be a problem. It'll work fine. So, But another example, I've got one of my very high-end cassette decks here, a Harman Kardon, top-of-the-range deck, 3-head, dual capstan and all the rest of it. I had a fault with that, with distortion in the left-hand channel. And I went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I was trying to find the source of it. And the audio would work for a little bit, then it would eventually cut out altogether. And it was a faulty capacitor in one of the Dolby circuits. So I just thought, oh, well, it's just an audio bypass capacitor. It didn't look like it was super critical. So I replaced it with another capacitor that I had here on hand. It wouldn't work at all. It had to be exactly the right kind of capacitor, right kind of series resistance and everything for it to work at all.
All right.
Well, it's all about having the right parts to do the
That's
job
right.
correctly.
And let's not stray too far off on that, but yeah. Okay, so there is a capacitor kit, and if it's the right capacitors and they need to be replaced, you got a source to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Without having to hunt them all down individually, which is nice.
Yeah.
Next up, Jim McClellan, who's actually, we talked to him a couple weeks before. I think he was trying to get his old DMP 105 working, and he did something rather interesting that I hadn't heard of before. So he has his old DMP 105. The original ribbon was, of course, useless, as he says. The ink sponge had turned into its gooey original petroleum constituents, which kind of sounds like the tape stuff you were talking about earlier, David. I managed to get her printing pretty good by replacing the sponge with a 19mm square piece of synthetic kitchen sponge and saturating the sponge with all things blue gel, vegetable oil-based food coloring, and now his printer works. I thought that was a pretty interesting use of a kitchen sponge. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, definitely.
So anybody who wants to get the old line printers running, I guess there's an option here to actually get it fixed up and running again. So, and that's using a technique I'd never heard. I've heard of people like re-inking ribbons and stuff, but once the actual printing assembly part's not working quite correctly, that's a version of fixing it that I've never heard of before. I don't know if anybody else on the panel has or not, but. Okay, next up, and I'm not going to play all the videos here. There's a young fella named Quinn Good, who's posted a series of videos on YouTube, 3 so far, of a CoCo 2 he found in his attic. I don't know if that was his parents or what it was, or maybe moved into a house. I'm not sure, but he's young, and he's just kind of trying to figure it out. And he's ripped apart the keyboard to clean it. Found it was incredibly dirty, and that's maybe why some of the keys aren't working. I actually did send him a response on one of the videos for him to try to get in contact with us and see if he wants to come on the show, or at least watch the show and maybe pick up some tips and ask some questions for fixing stuff. I won't play too much of the video. This is his first video when he's first getting it here. So
okay, hello everybody. So
you can see he's quite young,
my
so it's
name
kind
is
of cool to
Quinn,
get some more of the young blood in here.
and
And
we are
we'll just
going to
fast
be
forward a little bit here. So
again.
He's got the CoCo 2 with the
wasn't
final
really
version of the keyboard, but it's still the Radio
I
Shack
bought,
sticker, so it's not a
found
T1.
it. Now, the sad thing about this is when I power
And he's got some problems, like when he powers it on, it
seems to
comes
have
up with the
a
green
weird
screen,
image
but with a couple random characters stuck and no Microsoft Basic.
really
So he's going to ask. He was asking for
I've
some
opened
help
it up
on
and tried to spray
what possibly could be wrong.
Tried to spray some.
So
Of
some of
course-
our hardware gurus here, if they want to go onto his YouTube channel and maybe send him some suggestions, unless he manages to join the show type thing. But he's got 3 videos up, and he's trying to fix the keyboard. So he shows how he pulled all the keys off, and there's a whole bunch of crud on the base of the keyboard.
Neat. Neat. Nice to
That's
see
cool.
future generation.
Yeah, and just having an interest in it. So here's what it gets when it powers on. So I mean, the video signal's coming through okay. So I'm
Mhm.
assuming the VDG's fine. That could be a RAM
Faulty
problem,
RAM.
whatever the Microsoft.
Yeah, this is one of those pull all the RAM chips and put them back in, and it might fix it.
No, how about we just randomly recap everything?
Heretic. Could
Yeah,
be
I'm
a wrong
suspecting
thing,
RAM
too.
in this case too. I mean, even swapping the RAM, so if it's a bad RAM in a certain spot, might fix it enough to boot up at least to figure out if that's the problem. So
Play musical chairs and watch the garbage move to different spots of the screen every time you leapfrog a RAM chip
Right.
into a new socket.
yeah. Well, depending on what's wrong with the RAM, if he reseat or moves them around and reseats them that way, then he might actually get the Microsoft logo to come up again. So at least it comes up. But
You get a lot of oxide buildup, especially if there's moisture, and then it gives all kinds of weird stuff. Just reseating them helps a lot.
Yeah, and so that's the thing, right? And this is when I teach people like the basic computer hardware classes on PC stuff. I'm like, when you got a PC that's not working, and one of the things that we do is we reseat things. We will reseat a card, and it's not because it's loose, because if it's loose, we could just push down on it. But the reason why you have to pull it out and snap it back in is you're actually scraping the crap off of the card edges by doing that, right? So by
Exactly.
reseating it, you're actually doing a poor man's surface clean. And that's why we have to reseat stuff, because sometimes it's oxidation or something else that's interfering with the connection of the circuit, you know?
Yeah, it's not like Mark, which model of the old Apples was it, the 3 or the 2C or something where you had to pick it up and drop it to reseat the chips?
Yeah, the Apple III. Basically, the heating and cooling caused the chips to work out of the socket. So it's drop 3 inches, lift up, drop 3 inches straight
Yeah,
down.
that was actually the Apple instructions of how to fix it.
Exactly.
Not on a window, just 3 inches.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't have the option to hurl it against the wall there, which was usually my option with it. But
the Apple
If
III
you
was
really-
all designed not to be user maintainable. It was like everything's locked up, you're not supposed to touch it. Unlike the Apple II or the One, where it's like, no, you're supposed to manhandle it.
Yeah.
If you really want to take it to another level of reliability too, get a can of deoxit D5
Yeah.
and just spray a very small amount of that on the sockets themselves when you reseat them, and it'll make it a lot more reliable.
Yeah, I'm living and dying by deoxit now for all my old game consoles, trying to get stuff working. So.
Oh yeah.
I like how he laid all the keys out there
In-
to the
in-
right of the machine.
in the
there,
right-
so they
in the
kept
right
them all
order,
Yeah.
right?
Someone should have
Made that
reversed
mistake
2 of
once.
those.
Well,
the
the
M
first
and
time I
N
ever cleaned my
backwards.
chiclet keyboard, I just dumped all the keys and washed them all, and then I'm going, what the hell? How do I put them back? And then some keys, depending if they're sideways or not, a Z and an N or Z and an N might look roughly
Yeah,
the same, and then you
right.
put it in, especially on the scalloped ones here, like the later versions of the CoCo 2 keyboard, and all of a sudden this one key's at a weird angle and doesn't feel right typing, even though it technically works. And so yeah, he was smart and did that right off the bat where he kept it, but. He actually zooms the camera in and it kind of shows there's a fair bit of dirt in here. I don't know if it'll show up clearly in the...
Disgusting dirt in between that I'm gonna clean off right now.
Okay.
Even the space bar port is disgusting. I don't know how it could have got this way. Even the manual said to keep the keyboard covered up.
Yeah, so... Anyway, him being a young person just getting into it, he literally just posted these videos up this week. I think they've had 10 views in some cases and even
Okay.
less on others. So definitely, if you guys want to hit it up, Mark's posting the links to it in the chat there. Maybe help him out with the fixing, why it's not booting up properly, and then any other tips that he wants from you guys.
Yeah,
That would
the
be good.
fact
And maybe
that
we'll have him on the show later.
the fact that he's more interested in fixing a CoCo than watching TikTok, he's got my vote. So let's help this
That's
kid
right.
out.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Or you could put the CoCo on TikTok. That might be interesting too. I don't know. Let the Chinese spy on that.
They'll
Just
copy
what's the guy?
Chinese Cocos.
What's the guy's name again?
Quinn.
Quinn. Just so
Quinn
you know,
Good.
Quinn, there is no Fortnite cartridge for the CoCo, so don't go looking for it. So.
That sounded like a challenge to Nick or something. I don't know.
But there may be something for the MC10 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right, Jim Gary. Jim Gary's like, hold my beer. All right. So.
Anyway, that's all the news, regular news stuff I have. The rest will be on the GameON news stuff. But
all right.
there you go for this week.
Far out, man. Far out.
Cool.
Anybody have anything they want to chime in on and what we've discussed in the news so far, or to recap or not to recap? Deoxit, pros and cons, tips and tricks for hardware troubleshooting.
I asked Tom C about the recapping just the other day, so he might have some tips we need to get out of him.
Yeah. So that is
as a general. So one little thing I will say, just having my rant about replacing caps. Power supply caps in CoCos are a little easier to replace. They're a little more forgiving with getting the wrong types in there. So it's not all doom and gloom if you want to go and recap your CoCo. Go ahead and do it if it needs it.
Back in the day, recaps were cheaper than new tires.
Oh my god.
Well, the one thing about recapping too is that unless you're having a problem, if it's not broken, don't fix it, because
exactly
you get in there and start desoldering stuff. You could loosen traces and everything and take a perfectly, possibly working machine, and now it's not.
And even if you do everything correctly, modern capacitors might be too good. They don't leak enough. Things like that. They just. I found random times when you have to pull out the tantalum capacitor and go find an old disc ceramic or something to throw in. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like Dave said, they aren't the same.
Okay.
One last thing too. Sorry, I'm going on about it, but just one last little thing that catches a lot of people. A lot of people will go and pull out old capacitors thinking they've leaked all over the boards, when in actual fact they haven't leaked. It's actually glue. What manufacturers often do is the larger capacitors, they glue them to the board so they don't come loose when they're being transported.
I think they do that on some of the CoCos. It'll be sort of a yellow brown color.
So I can now use that excuse for my wife. I can say, listen, those stains in my underwear, that's glue. That my capacitor's not leaking. So
that's the installation glue. Yeah.
Oh, things just took a dark turn.
I'm glad we're not a lunchtime show.
Lunchtime here.
All right, so we are going to take a commercial break. Then we're going to come back. We've got a brand new CoCo Thoughts. We've got some GameON results. We're going to talk about the game of the week. We're going to talk about next week's game of the week. We're going to hear about Nick Marentes' new Rally SG release that just dropped like it was hot this week. All this and more on CoCoTALK. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after these words.
CoCoTALK will return after these messages.
CoCo c'est le coq champignon, des micros et dans le pion. Pour le jeu, il est pas bavard, les études, c'est pas bizarre. L'expansion, il a ça, les commandes, tu vas voir ça. Notre CoCo est programmable, pour tes cours, c'est bien serviable. CoCo 2 de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac.
Un ordinateur couleur qui a de la personnalité. Le CoCo 2 de Radio Shack. On solde pour Noël à partir de 149,95.
CoCo 2 de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac, c'est toi et CoCo 2.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. If you're using your color computer in Quebec and it stops working, is it now a CoCo won't do?
Hi, Ron Delvaux, Timberman, CoCo Fest, CoCoTALK.
In a world where RGB produces black and white video, one cable can make a difference. Switcheroo. CoCo3ScartCable.com.
Hey, have you got your CoCo 3 yet? Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and you've tuned into CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer.
What's going on, everybody? Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and if you're a fan of vintage computing and retro gaming, then you're going to love our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. There you will find custom designs by Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. You can get I'm a Coconut, CoCoTALK, and other cool video game images on a t-shirt, coffee mug, or mouse pad. So if you love retro, then head on over to the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com today. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you.
Radio Shack's store-wide manager's red tag sale is on now. We've slashed prices 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. Save on famous Radio Shack hi-fi, car stereo, radios, toys, TV games, calculators, walkie-talkies, and CB radios. Look for the big red tag. Save like never before on these and literally hundreds of red tag specials. Hurry into Radio Shack today.
Hi, this is Randy Kindig of the Floppy Days podcast. I just love me some CoCo, and nobody covers it better than Steve Strobridge. You're listening to CoCoTALK.
And now, party-approved CoCo Thoughts with Comrade Gimes. In Soviet Russia, Tetris block drop you.
Oh, I wasn't sure if that was. I wasn't sure if it was going to be another musical or not. So I wasn't quite sure there. Comrade Gimes. Samuel has outdone himself again. Nick Marentes, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right.
Let it roll.
High Score Challenge with Nick Marentes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GameON results. We had an excellent week this week with 26 participants. Tim Halloran, 1188. R. Alan Murphy, 1257. Mikey, 2200. Mark B, 2606. Ryan Schubring, 2620. Just Mike, 3157. Buck Owens, 3245. Mr. Dave, 3346. Ben VR Drake, 3456. Al Hartman, welcome, 3611. Ken Reichart, 3792. Jelio, 3810. Tom C, 4247. Scott Wentz, 4264. David Croker, 4388. Jim Rye, 5002. Kazman, 5100. Ryza, 5434. Me, 5672. Canadian Retro Thing, 6039, very close. Alpin Grice, 6123. Butterball, 6273. Diego, 6637. Paul Shoemaker, 6930, also close. David O'Connor, 757. And the winner was Frodo with 3239. So thank you for this. We had a really great turnout. I was very happy to see that. And that's the music you didn't hear while playing the CoCo version.
That is some wicked music there, Nick Marentes.
Thank you. So yes, this is just off the Wikipedia page. You can see the CoCo version is listed as an official Tetris variant, which is big news for the CoCo because we didn't have a whole lot of officially licensed games. Rainbow, the review for it was favorable. If you buy Tetris, you have nothing. Then your job is anyway. It's very addictive, and we saw people in the this week saying the same thing. There's our top score from the Rainbow Days, 9110. And
are you sharing because we can't see anything you're looking at? Are you using your imagination at this point?
I am.
Or,
just picture it in your mind.
As you can't see here.
It's all right. We can see that hat fine.
Yes. All right. There we go.
Sorry about that, guys. I totally blanked.
That's okay.
David,
I'll fix it.
You had a very respectable finish there, bud.
Oh, Tetris is absolutely addictive to me. I love it.
All right. So the Wikipedia entry, and you can see we're listed in there. Rainbow Review, and there's the score 9110 from back in the day.
Okay.
So this week's gameplay
Patrona Heights.
Footage is courtesy of Frodo. So this is the CoCo 2 mode, which most people played in. I was surprised. We had a lot more CoCo 2 submissions than CoCo 3. The games were identical in either platform.
All right, and we have 26 players?
26 players, which I thought was really
that's
great.
good. That's good.
And we had like 3 new people this week. Al Hartman was one of them, and we had a couple other new people as well. So thank you for joining us. And so you guys who played, what did you think?
Loved it. Neo loved it too.
It's a good version. We found out that if you had the score preview, the piece preview on, that really affected your score. So you want to turn that off if you care about.
Yeah, I had no idea about that until you let us into that tip, Nick. That was a good tip.
The heck is he doing here? Making shapes?
The scoring, it was very different from any of the versions I've seen. It's a very low scoring game. I'm not sure what his technique here is, but yeah.
He's
Don't worry, neither
What
is
is he doing?
He's showing off.
He's doing something a little fancy. Yes, he is.
You drop if you drop as many pieces as you can before you actually remove lines, you get a better score. Because when you drop the pieces, you get score for each piece you dropped, and it doesn't increase the speed. So by stacking up as many pieces as you can before you remove lines, you're maximizing your score before it gets faster.
Right. So we noticed with this version, once you drop a piece, it drops. There's some versions of Tetris that you can start dropping it fast and then make it stop dropping and tuck it into bottom. But this version, once you start dropping it, it was going down. So if you wanted to tuck it into bottom, you had to kind of wait for it to get to the bottom. which was
tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll.
David, does your version play from the bottom up?
Yeah, I had to stand on my head to play it.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Is Mark Bosley here? We had a little bit of an adventure this week with.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but with the composite.
Well, we went. Essentially, we spent an evening going down a rabbit hole. So what we were getting was with the CoCo 3, if you were using the say the switcheroo cable type with a SCAR converter, when you normally run it, you'd get these odd glitches happening, especially when it cleared the bottom row or cleared a row, and it would cause the on-screen display of the converter to pop up. And a second computer I tested didn't do that, so we've had to figure, well, it had to be something hardware-wise, because one works great, others don't. So other people said it was working good, and they weren't having the issue. So
other people did have the issue too, though. Catlord had the issue.
Yeah, some had the issue, some didn't. So after tearing apart both the CoCo 3s I had, trying to swap things around to figure out what component it might be.
Did you recap either one of them?
Both had been recapped in the past.
Okay. Step one, recap. Precautionary recap. When in doubt, recap.
So then, so we were on Discord all trying to figure it out, and then Nick Marentes comes on and says, "Oh, just press the M key," which changes the monitor mode
from composite to RGB.
Or the other way around. We couldn't figure out which one was which.
But the game was obviously doing something funky with the composite signal. It was, or composite, sorry. The game was obviously messing around with the composite signal and causing some glitches somewhere. So
by the way, I'm noticing a much more manly hairstyle on you right now, Nick Marota. You're less luxurious, but you're much more masculine now.
I miss my ponytail.
You are much more striking now. Very Arnold Schwarzenegger-esque there.
Am I as dreamy though? That was my concern. I liked being dreamy. So
I feel you're more commanding.
That's a haircut you can set your watch to.
Well, you know what? I'm happy with that. Thank you for reassuring me. It was a big decision to get.
Actually, I'm trying to decide. It's more. You're more Dolph Lundgren at this point. Dolph Lundgren in Rocky 3, right? So or 4. Wow. I don't remember. Yeah.
So anyway, the moral of the story is
yes. Please continue.
RTFM.
RTFM, huh?
Well, the funny thing was, at the beginning of the evening, Mark's like, "I'm not going to investigate this. I'm not going to waste time." Blah blah blah. And next thing you know, he's got 2 computers apart. Nothing's working anymore. And
3 hours later,
such is what we do on Discord. It's just a big load of nonsense. So,
but it was educational.
That was fun. It was an evening.
It turned out to be nothing hardware-wise at all. It was just how it was programmed.
Well, it was doing something funky with keyboard too.
Yeah, so it was probably flashing the screen, and because the SCART to HDMI converter is looking for a specific frequency, anytime it switched frequencies, the adapter lost sync or signal or something like that temporarily. And I've noticed that too. Like when I go from like the CoCo SDC and I go to launch a game, sometimes it'll switch modes for a second, and it takes what feels like 2 to 3 seconds sometimes for that HDMI converter to like lock onto the signal.
Well, it was like the composite was like almost turned off, because you got some really funky colors.
When you're in RGB mode, the default startup, it would on the CoCo it'll output RGB and composite at the same time. So when you're in RGB mode, it set the RGB palette, but it set the composite mode to be monochrome. It actually turned off the color burst for the composite. I don't know why.
That's what threw it off.
And he did that, and I don't know why. And obviously your SCART thing didn't like that.
Well, it's using the composite for the sync.
Well, I don't know.
So screwing with the sync when it does that.
It's doing something weird. I don't know why he switched on the monochrome mode. There was no need.
Yeah,
but
that's
anyway.
a bit odd. Yeah. One thing I did find was I played it on my. I got my highest score I got on my CoCo 1, but I played it on my CoCo 3 as well, and I actually like the CoCo. This is one area where I like the CoCo 3's arrow layout is for Tetris. It actually works better. Usually I don't like the arrow layout on the CoCo 3, but this was an exception.
Yeah, unless you use the JKL keys, which was another. There's a couple different control schemes, but yeah, if you like using the arrows, then yeah, the CoCo 3 would be better.
Mm-hmm.
Very
It
cool.
was a lot easier to press the right keys without accidentally dropping a piece and think, I didn't want that button, and killing your high score.
So thanks for I can't remember who was that suggested it, but somebody said
probably David O'Connor.
Tetris, if you ever made Tetris the game of the week, I'd be all over that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So
yeah, that was me.
oh, okay, perfect. And it ended up being a great week. So thanks to everybody who took part. Any other last comments before we move on?
There was somebody was asking if they were wondering if the game was rushed somewhat because it's, the scoring is different than pretty well every other version.
I would imagine, because I think it was one of the first games that was out for the CoCo 3.
Now, it's programmed by Greg Zumwalt, whom we've actually talked about before, and we would probably want to get him back on for a sequel interview, but that might be a question to ask him personally. Like, was this a game that was rushed and then you didn't have time to actually play the real thing to see, how the other platforms worked or something?
I mean, the gameplay itself was pretty good, but the scoring was way off, and it lacked some music and stuff, which I don't know could have been possibly done. I don't know, but I mean, as far as Tetris goes, it was an enjoyable game. I like playing it, and
so I never played this version. I did want to at least try it this week. I just kind of got busy, but I remember one of the things that John Strong was mentioning, because John Strong has a Tetris clone called Soviet Bloc. And
yeah, CoCo 3 one, yeah.
And I think one of the things that he had mentioned was one of the quotes from Marty Goodman was when somebody says, is there a Tetris game for the CoCo? And Marty Goodman had said, well, you don't need Tetris when you have Soviet Bloc. So according to him, he's saying that John Strong's Tetris is the best Tetris ever made for the CoCo. I haven't seen that one either.
I would like to see that. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, there's multiple ones. Chet Simpson has one too called Tetra, I think, and there's a bunch. There's probably about at least half a dozen that I know of.
There's a few on the CoCo STC image.
Yeah.
There's
a few that change the gameplay a bit too. There's one I just put up on my games page, I think last month, that force feeds them out from the left-hand side from this little block column before it gets to the square area. And you can't move it left and right. You have to let it push it, and you have to decide when to drop it instead, which makes the gameplay quite different when you actually get to it, even though the game is basically Tetris.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never a big fan of Tetris. I mean, when it first came out, it was neat, but to me, it seemed like a novelty act. I guess, everybody has their own thing. A game I actually really liked back in the day on the Sega Genesis was Columns, which is a similar concept. You have a block of 3 different colored gems, and you had to kind of rotate the order of them and stack them up and get rows of colors and diagonal and stuff. I don't know why, but that game appealed to me at the time, but Tetris never really stuck to me in any way.
Yeah, and John Strong has a version of that as well.
Yeah, Gems, right?
Yeah, and Gems too. He's got 2 of them actually.
Okay.
Well, I like the fact that we had an officially licensed game, because having been through CoCo 2 gaming where it was all full of sneakily named, subtly changed named clones, having real licensed games with the CoCo 3, I thought it was really.
You mean there wasn't an official arcade game that said "bad" or "big fat guy eating hamburger"?
Yeah, or Berserk with an S or whatever. So yeah, I really like the fact that it was a licensed. CoCo was getting some recognition or whatever.
But some of those variations were kind of cool too.
Yeah, I like the idea. See, so to me, the whole idea, like what Curtis just mentioned, like a Tetris where you've got these little curve balls that are thrown at you, where you throw a couple monkey wrenches into the mix, that would make it interesting. When you have some strategies and game mechanics to deal with other than just repeating patterns. I'm not a puzzle. It's all arcade. It's arcade. It's action. It's shooting. It's that's what fast moving shiny objects are what I'm more interested in. So it's just
yeah. If they added lasers to Tetris,
lasers to awesome. Tetris. Yeah, that's what made Arkanoid cool. Arkanoid is basically Breakout in space when you think about it, right? So
yes,
they made it cool, right? Added freaking lasers to it. So laser Tetris, that might be a thing.
Everything's better with lasers.
Yeah, evering's better with lasers. So.
I'm waiting for Dungeons of Daggerath with lasers, so I can take that wizard out from a long distance.
Pew, 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 pew.
Buy that. So, yeah.
Neat.
Well, again, thanks guys for the turnout this week, and it's just really fun to play with all of you and see new people joining that. So.
And my apologies. I was gonna, like Stevie, I was gonna try to throw in one, but I got a little bit too busy during the week too. And by yesterday evening, when I finally would have had time, I was busy hunting down stories.
But just to show you that how it resonated, we had 26 players in this game. I think with Ganabana, which was an action arcade game, there was only about 22 players. So more people joined this week for the casual game than the action game. So,
that's where we rotate them. I mean, there's going to be games that people like and games that people don't, and that's totally great.
Oh, Frodo says that the game Gantlet was completely original, Curtis. So,
obviously,
no cheesy clone there, right? So, and that's the thing is that everybody's got their own styles and tastes and preferences, and some people are not in that. I'm assuming that there were some people who maybe never would have gotten to the GameON because they're not into arcade games, right? So, I don't want to play this or I don't want to play Donkey King, but everybody's got their own,
I'm still waiting for Nick to put the first adventure game on.
Yes, we got to find one that has some level of scoring, and I think
most do. You have to find treasures, which are certain points, and
Yes, I'm definitely open to that.
Yeah.
All right. So, with that, are you ready for me to announce next week's game?
I am waiting with bated breath.
So, because this was supposed to be the CoCo 3 game and more people played CoCo 2, I decided to bump up the CoCo 3 game. So next week will actually be a CoCo 3 game. And I'm not expecting anybody to recognize the screenshot, except maybe, actually Curtis will. But recognize that?
Oh, yeah.
Crystal City?
Oh, very good. That's right. Next week's game will be Crystal City. So we did Xenix a few weeks ago by Jeremy, and now this is the follow-up to Xenix. I don't know if it's a follow-up in terms of plot, but it's a follow-up in terms of release. So Crystal City. So this is going to be a bit.
Can I just use that score and be lazy?
Right now, 18,488 is the score to beat.
So I think we should submit that one.
So there's going to be a bit of a trick to loading this one in SDC. This is a multi-floppy game, so you're going to have to use the multi-floppy capabilities of the SDC. It's in the manual, and we'll be able to help you guys.
Trick is to load the folder, not the individual floppy.
Mount the folder, and then you can press the button.
And you may have to rename the files because the files have to be renamed something 1, something 2.
Yeah, remember to rename Auto Bass to Auto Exec Bass. It's a simple 2-step process.
And also recapping might be necessary.
Preemptive recap might help this out.
So this is just all the different levels, and
it's a horizontal scroller, kind of like just like Xenix was super fast paced. This is a fast
version of Scramble, actually.
Yeah, very fast paced, very flashy, color flashy, palette flashy.
So Stevie, you were saying you like the fast action games. This is definitely a fast action arcade.
Pew 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 pew.
Those graphics are fantastic.
They are.
Oh yeah, he pushed the.
Because when you look at, when we've been doing the palette hacks and I look at the lame 64 colors we have to choose from, I'm thinking, my God, half these colors suck. Why do they even exist? But somehow, guys like this take those shitty colors and make something good out of them. It's like, wow, this looks really good, man. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so to get the game. Mark, I gave you the URL. Just go to that URL, and that's one place you can get it.
Already posted.
It's also on Curtis's site. And like I said, when you get the zip file for Crystal City, you're going to want to rename the files so that they're Crystal 1 and Crystal 2. I think they're called levels and something else. Right. So you want to rename levels to be Crystal 2. So that way the SDC will know which disc is which.
Yeah, make sure the entire file name does not exceed 8 characters, right? So it's CoCo SDC is still running on that 8.3 naming convention.
It does work in VCC. You'll have to load the first floppy image, and then when it tells you to insert the levels disk, you just go and remap your floppy to the second floppy. And
this is Jeremy's website, right? This is GoSub Software, gosub.com/CoCo. So this is from the author's website, which obviously means he's giving his blessings for people to download and use this. So,
this is totally
no piracy here.
No.
Yep. I want to mention something for people that are playing the game for the first time too. Aside from it being Scramble, where you fly in one direction side, where there's 6 different levels. Two things I'll mention. One, the parachutes are fuel. Don't shoot them. You have to collect them. Okay. And that's actually one of the hard parts of the game, because when you get a ton of helicopters and everything else coming at you, you tend to just rapid fire everything. You'll just shoot all your parachutes and never get fuel, and you'll die because you run out of fuel, which is what your shields are based on. And also on later levels, the game has deformable terrain, which means if you shoot a hole in the mountain, you can fly through it. And on later levels, that's absolutely necessary. So a couple of little tips of just how to play the game.
Neat.
All right. So hopefully you guys have fun with that one this week. And until next Friday evening at 11 p.m.
Film at 11.
There we go.
Okay.
So that's it for the Game On segment. But we're going to talk about this week we had a new game drop by our friend Nicholas Marentes, and that's Rally SG. So Nick, if you want to, I don't know if you want to go ahead and talk about it or.
Well, yeah, Rally SG is a game. It's based on Rally X in the arcades, where you drive around in a maze, and you have to drive around to collect the flags. There's 10 flags to collect, which are those yellow dots on the screen. But there are these other red cars that are chasing you, and depending on the level, you get either 2 red cars on a maze after you, or 4, or up to 6. And basically that's it. It's a collect the flag type car race game, and it does have a challenge mode, some of the levels where you don't get any red cars chasing you, but you've got a timer whereby you've got a certain time that you've got to get the flags. But on the right, there's a radar that shows you where the flags are and where the red cars are. The challenge mode, the radar is turned off and you have to find the flags. So that's a bit of a
time limit.
And a time limit. Yeah, that's right. Now on the screen that you're showing there, Nick, the radar on the right's not working correctly because I had to use
I see it.
Yeah, you see it there, but
For
it
me, it
doesn't
looks
come
fine.
through on Discord. Yeah, on Discord it doesn't work out very well. But on the radar it shows you the red cars as a black dot, the flags as a dark blue dot, and the cyan big dot is you.
Yeah, some have kind of like a flashy effect, and then others are solid. So that's how you can tell the difference.
Yeah, well, on a proper monitor, the flashing is so fast that the black ends up looking like a dark blue. That was the effect I was going for.
Yeah, this is
because
VCC I'm using.
That mode, you can't have two more than one color per byte. So the way to simulate the additional colors was to flash a black very fast, black and blue, and I made a dark blue, so like an extra color. But transmitting it over Discord, it doesn't show that very well.
Yeah, the game runs much smoother in real life than you're probably seeing on the stream right now.
Yeah.
Did you mention that the button releases smoke? That's
yeah. Well, right. There's no guns or any shooting in this game, but you do have smoke, because your car, like a real car, has fuel, which is the yellow bar on the right. And the longer you drive around, your car's consuming fuel, and there's plenty of fuel to go around. But the thing is, you've got the ability to throw smoke behind you, and when you do that, you do burn more fuel. But the smoke is very handy, because you use that to confuse the red cars. They tend to turn around and go back. So one of the tactics of the game is to use the smoke to control the red cars, essentially. So you can actually divert. Yeah, you can divert and control the red cars to a degree by putting smoke in certain areas. So there's a few tactics to do it. But
you've also got your orange flag too, that actually increases the value of the other flags if you can.
Yeah,
find it
of the 10 flags you've got to get, there's one that's orange, and getting that, as soon as you get that, all the subsequent flags are worth more points. So obviously you get the orange flag if you can first, or as early as you can, and then all the future points are higher. And there is also a bonus depending on how long you take to complete the level. There's a bonus depending on how much fuel you have left at the end of the level as well. So it's very similar.
Is there a way to get more fuel on a certain level if you're running low? Okay. Yeah.
No. So you got that one fuel supply. If you get caught by a red car or you run out of fuel, then you lose that car and you get another car, and it has a full tank of fuel.
Kind of reminds me of Megabug a little bit because you can kind of get stuck in a dead end spot, you know.
Well, sort of, yeah.
There's
no
actually
actual...
a dead end.
Okay.
There
no
isn't
dead
any.
Yeah. There's in the later levels, though, isn't there? I'm trying to remember.
There might be. See, one thing with your car always moves. You can't actually stop. So if you're not controlling the car with your joystick, the car will go by itself, and when it hits a wall, it'll always turn right. If you let go of the joystick, Nick, you'll just see the car just goes by itself.
I'm not. See, I wasn't touching it, and then
so this is not NASCAR because NASCAR is always turning left.
Yeah, and that's how the original arcade game was as well. So, so
hey, Stevie, have you ever thought about going left, Stevie?
I tell you what, I'm going to go left.
Yeah, so basically it's a Rally X clone from the arcade, but it does have some unique stuff to it that's not in Rally X that makes it a little bit more original.
Yeah, I love the colors. I love the graphics mode.
And there's different mazes on the levels, so I mean, as you progress, you get totally different. Yeah,
there's
collision detection is working great. That's what I'm testing. Collision detection is working fantastic.
Nick Marentes, Frodo wants to know: does it have the L flag?
No, it doesn't.
And Ken says it needs lasers. that's version 1.1, right?
Well, that's right. You always need lasers.
Are there any couches that we can collide with?
No, and I told Ken that is that the only thing it's missing is furniture.
have to differentiate the product lines.
Well, that would make it a simulation as opposed to just a game.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Nick, what's the SG stand for?
The what?
SG.
Semi-graphics. So it's instead of being called Rally X like in the arcade, I decided to call it Rally SG because it uses the color computer SG graphics mode in order to get the extra the 8 colors. Because I wanted this to be a color game. And it works on every CoCo. It works on a CoCo 1, a CoCo 2, even a CoCo 3, and a Dragon, as long as you have a minimum of 64K of RAM.
And next week, MC10.
Next weekend. So Ken Reichert says he told you if you included furniture, he'd take you to kangaroo court. So
that's right. Ken's got the license for the furniture, not me.
Are the locations of the pickups, are they randomized or are they always in the same spot?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The flags are generally random. That's right.
So you got to hunt them down.
Every level will be pretty well different every time.
Yeah, that's what makes it challenging. It's so challenging because you have 100 seconds basically, or 100 timer blocks to try to find them all, and you don't have radar on that level, so it's really hard to find
radar on that level. So it's So that's right. You can play one level, and the flags might be fairly close together, and the level's easier. But the next level, they'll be all over the place, and you've got no idea, and you have to find them, and you just can't complete it. Same with the cars.
Are there any pit stops where you can go and pick up some donuts?
No. Got to eat
petrol
donuts
stations
before you start
would
playing.
There's no petrol stations. Why would there be a donut place? That's just.
I like it.
Maybe there's a segue to Donut Dilemma.
Yeah.
I just played it a little bit before the show. It's really fun.
Nick, people are interested in the game here. Where do they go to order it, and how much does it cost, and what format is it available
website. If you go to now, it's www.nickmarentes, or one word, NICKMARENTES.com. That'll take you to the a menu screen, and you can there's the website, and you can go to the Rally SD website, and it just talks about it there. There's a little video.
Link. There's a PayPal
button. There's a PayPal link. Yep, and I put a button on there like. Jason suggested yesterday. Thanks for that, Jason. It's so much better.
Yeah. Instead of having to send
$5 for a digital
instead
download.
of having to send a PayPal to nick@marentes.opus.au.fu.
You can just click on the
kangaroo.
That's right.
And you get a binary version to type in as well.
That's it. Yeah, you can type in the binary.
The game is a digital download, so it's only $5 US. So it's a low cost title, and I'll email you the files. And the files you'll get a DSK and a VDK, both are disk images
Yeah, did we say it
DSKs
works
are
on Dragon? That's very. That's
yes, the DSKs are on the CoCo, and the VDK is used on the Dragons.
So here's a new game for the
there's
Dragon
that.
people too.
There's also a CAS file, which emulators such as VCC you can use it, and so does XRAW, and possibly MAME. I've never tried it. But there's also a WAV file on the that I send as well. So for anyone who only has a cassette or tape only based CoCo, you can take the WAV file and record it to a real cassette. Just play the WAV file on your PC or Mac, record it onto a cassette, and there it is. You've got a cassette based program that you can load in with the Clode M and be up and running that way.
Or just plug the headphone jack into your phone if it has one and just play
or
the
that,
WAV file
yeah,
on your phone.
that's right. Yeah.
I had really good luck. I did the same thing with one of those cassettes that I recently got on eBay.
Yes, that's right.
Yep, and it worked really well. So.
Yeah,
the old open reel ones.
I can hear a commercial right now. If you paid $5, you paid too much.
Well, Nick, is this is $5 US, but if you live in Australia, it's free.
I haven't made any I just say $5 US, and it's just $5 US.
Time.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, in Australia,
I don't want too much maths.
Yeah, in Australia, you can pay him in kangaroo dung. So
send him a tinny, you're good.
Do you have any plans on releasing this on a hardware format later, like some of the other games you've done on CDs and stuff?
I might later on as a part of a compilation, but I thought this time around, especially also the fact that the postal services might be a bit slow at the moment with the coronavirus. I thought rather than have people wait, like with Gunstar, a couple of people, one person in particular waited 4 months for the CD to come in.
Wow!
Because of all the delay, because it was right in the middle of the coronavirus stuff. So I thought, well, just in case, I'll avoid it, and I'll just make it a $5 download, and you end up getting it pretty well straight away. I monitor it. I monitor the payments pretty well every half hour or so. So if you put an order in for $5 within the next hour or so, I'll have sent you the files and you can be up and playing.
Yeah, his email ringtone goes cha-ching.
Yeah,
every
that's
time
right.
Actually, that brings up my last question, which is: do you think this is a 1 or 2 Ferrari game?
Well, as I've told the other people, I've got 3 Ferraris already from my previous mega sales. And if I save up enough, I'll get 4. And with 4 Ferraris, I can strap 2 of them each on each shoe, on the bottom of my shoes, and and then I'll have roller skates.
I want to see the video of you riding that. That's what I want to see.
All right, we need to shift gears here just for a second because Nick Marentes, he's always going to be dreamy to us, but let's just remind everybody that Nick Marentes, even without his dreamy hair, he's you guys can't see him right now. Here we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, so Nick Marentes is always going to be dreamy Nick to us, and when he's not dreamy Nick, he is also the smooth Canadian. So I just want to remind you guys all about that. So sorry about that.
Hey, Nico. Oh, that's okay. And one more quick thing, just before we forget. 2 weeks time, bomb threat. There's still time.
Yes.
To pick up a copy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to remind me? Thanks, Marco. You're on the ball. Yep.
Exactly.
So there's still time to pick up your copy of Bomb Threat if you're hoping to take part with us in 2 weeks.
Unless you're in Australia, in which case you're out of luck because of the coronavirus. Getting stuff over there takes 2 months.
If you're in North America, you should be okay.
Yeah, I have my new cartridge I got from Neil
People have been
Blanchard.
ordering cartridges and discs again this week, so people are still getting their versions in. So thanks to Neil and to Rick Adams' service for getting those out.
Yeah, Evan Wright was out there saying he ordered one he's going to show off in his classroom. So Evan teaches computer science to like high school kids, and so and he incorporates retro stuff in his curriculum a lot. So that'd be kind of cool to have some of the Utes.
And he writes retro games too. I mean, he
writes,
just released 3D
mm-hmm.
Monster Maze your last
which I also have my cartridge here, Evan.
Hey Nick.
If I ever see you again, I want an autograph, Evan.
Nick Marentes, I got an idea for you for your next game. And it would be like, remember the old game where the body is laying there and you take and you try to do
Operations, yeah.
Scully, this could be like the coronavirus.
Yeah.
You know, where you're going in trying to get the coronavirus out of
the operation, huh?
A very topical game it would be, too.
Extremely.
Yeah, it would be.
Touch the sides.
Okay.
You can add light pen support too while you're at it.
You have to
There
play
you go.
with a mask.
Play with a
Thank you.
mask. Yeah, this
Thanks
game.
for the new game, Nick.
And
Thanks
does
for
that
taking
mean
part-
if instead of a smart bomb, I just use a disinfectant?
Yeah, be a light ball spray.
Hand sanitizer.
Drink some
You know, like when the bomb blows up on Zaxxon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big coronas everywhere.
Oh, well, we're not doing panel introductions anymore, are we? We're on, I don't know what the
Thanks,
hell's going on
everybody.
here.
All right.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
Thank you,
I'm
Curtis,
just-
for handling the interview part.
We'll fix it in post. Don't worry.
We'll fix it in post. We'll do it live. All right, so we'll probably take one more break and we'll come back for updates and acquisitions. If anybody's got some show and tell, be ready to show, be ready to tell after these words. We gotta decide what commercial do we want to run right now. We've run Fletcher, we've run CoCo Do. Have we run
Have
TV
we paid
games?
too much?
Have we paid too much? We've run the David Ladd commercial already. I want TV games. Where's my TV games? Where the hell is
Just
it?
I have a little bit of GameON news too. We'll just put it at the very end, I think.
Oh, okay. There we go. Here he is. All right. So we're gonna. Oh, so well then let's do that now, Curtis. And then we'll take our break. If you got GameON news, go ahead and do the GameOn news.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
GameOn.
I've stopped sharing.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, and thanks for that awesome game, Nick. I got it from you last night.
Nice.
I haven't looked at it yet. I can't wait to play it.
And speaking of Mr. Evan Wright there, who's going to
Yes.
be showing off the game that Nick did, he's actually done an updated version of Flood It. And he's got a
Ooh.
little video kind of explaining some of the things. And most of it's cosmetic things just to make it look a bit better. It's got some sound additions.
Okay.
It's got some more animated sequences because basically the original version
to show you some updates.
basically
Flood
just
It that, I've been
slams the
working on.
painting on there. Now it
It's
actually
4th of
slows
July
it down
here,
so
if
it
you
looks like a
hear,
painting effect.
Fireworks in the background. That's why. Using something called a DFS
See if
or
we can find
depth
a
first
clip of
search,
that
and
picture.
like it doesn't all fill in immediately. It kind of fills in, kind of gradually. Or you could watch. The
Actually, I enjoyed this game. As much as I don't like puzzle games that much, I enjoyed Flood It.
And the,
Yeah, it's
the,
just fun.
The more it
Yeah.
fills it has to do, the more you can actually.
So I don't know if there's going to be a new cartridge release because this was a cartridge game too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
It was
wrote a version
it
of this
was
that
being
was-
provided as a cartridge, but I think he also made a ROM file available from his blog site if you wanted one.
Okay, but here
Yeah,
you
I
can see the
do
painting
like
effect
the
is-
kind of painting
Right,
effect of
there's
it. Yeah,
another
that's
little
neat.
Yeah, it looks better than that
So
instant
I
flash.
understand we
Yeah.
lose
Because
and
Simulink is too quick for a game like this type
over
thing.
screen, and right now I have it hard coded to so the game only goes 10 moves. and
Somebody,
all.
Evan's actually in the chat right now. Somebody has any questions about this game, or if they don't have it yet, they can contact him for details.
Yeah.
and get the
Evan,
new
send
versions,
send me the binary. I want to play it.
Yeah, I want to play it.
Rebuilds the game.
I've got the C source for the public
Okay, so what I've done here is I've got a game that I'm about to win, so I'm just gonna.
Anyway, I won't play the whole thing. It's
Well, let's
it's,
hear the
3-minute
game
video,
over
so-
sound. Yeah, turn it up a little bit so we
One
can hear it.
other little improvement here. So let me fill this in with green and white, and then finally the last. Oh,
Two more, yeah.
all right. So there's the original. You know, the music hasn't changed. I've repositioned the victory screen, and now if I try to do a new game here, I just hit any key, and it'll just kind of. There you go. So
Neat transitions.
It just kind of does a wipe. Or a
I like
just
the. I like.
just
Yeah.
just looks cool. So
Flushed it out
I don't
and
know,
fancied
there
it
is
up.
some
Basically, it's not
minor
like a new,
improvements.
totally new game
I
or
was thinking
anything.
about changing, having some sort of title music. It just didn't really work. I couldn't get it to work artistically, make a lot of sense. So I just kind of left it all out. But it wasn't for lack of trying. So I don't know, just some little bells and whistles.
I like it. Thank you, Evan.
The game a little bit.
Thanks for what you do, sir.
And guess who this MC10 game is made by?
Nick Marentes.
Sure.
It's not Ron Delvaux.
I cheated a bit here. I left his name on the bottom there of the video, if you can see it there.
MC10 edits by Jim Gary. Ah.
So basically, this is a battleships type-in game from 1979 from a book, Computing Today magazine, or magazine, I should say. November 1979 issue, originally by Ridgeway, and so he kind of ported it to the MC10 like he standardly does. So it's a bit more graphical than the original text version. At first, I thought it was just gonna be like a Battleship board game, but it's not. It's actually a little bit of an arcade game where you actually.
Oh, it's kind of like the yeah. Oh, that is neat. I like that. I like the animations.
The ship gets vaporized.
You sank my battleship. And so you're putting in a grid position and you don't know if you're going to hit it, or
I'm sure if it's a grid position or an angle thing. Or
okay, so it's like trajectory and whatnot.
Get,
Oh. We're going down.
Oh, an interesting little game, and obviously can be easily ported to the CoCo too because it's in BASIC. So.
Boom. I like it. Very cool. He does some. Speaking of semi-graphics, he does some good stuff with that.
Yeah, especially considering he's using the low semi-graphics modes because I don't believe the MC10 even supports the higher semi-graphics at all, does it?
No, because there's no SAM.
Yeah.
All right, Reversey and Super Basic. I remember seeing this on Facebook. Neat.
Yeah, so Jerry Stratton, if you remember from a couple months ago, he did Super Basic, which is kind of a modern-looking language that it then translates to Color Basic, Extended Color Basic, Disk Basic, etc. So he took Reversey, which is basically an Othello-style game, and he actually shows the actual modern language version of what the commands and stuff he did to write the game is. And he goes through and kind of explains how everything works, etc. And, as he's programming little tricks and stuff. So it takes this here, and you run it through his little converter program, and it creates an actual extended basic source code that then you can put into the CoCo itself to run. So you can actually code in a modern style with outline numbers and with loop constructs and everything else, and actually make games. So this was an example game. We've shown his Super Basic before, and it's basically just been proof of concept type test code and stuff. This is the first actual full blown game application done with it that translates it over. So those people that are more used to the modern languages and don't really want to delve back into the old Color Basic stuff, this is a way to write the Color Basic games using a modern language. And he's got it available for download too if you want to grab it and take a look at both the original source code and also the actual converted one.
Neo likes it. Here he is. It's Erico's Smooth Criminal stuff.
Erico is the wizard of semi-graphics 4. I mean, he's done stuff there I never would have even dreamed would have been possible.
All right. Shimon.
So he's been working on this sort of karate style game. And this first animation here is showing a little bit of the animation of it as it currently has it done. And I mean, there's a lot of limitations on this mode. I mean, you got 9 colors to choose from, as Nick has mentioned, but you've got a block of 2x2 pixels that have to be black and one color only. You can't
put two different colors. You can't put two. You can put one color in black next to each other, but you can't put two colors next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very limiting.
So that gets a bit complicated. Now he's done a later video showing some of the moves here, showing the 4 attack moves. And I don't know if this is going to work zoomed up because Facebook usually hates me when I do. Oh, it worked this time.
No, but it's not moving.
Can you guys see it?
No, it's not moving.
Oh, okay. Ah, crap. That's not what I wanted to hit.
It's live.
We'll do it live.
I'll just rewind it and let you watch the small version, I guess.
Yeah, all I see is a white screen right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see here.
I see in the chat people are putting their orders in for Rally SG.
Let's try that again.
Okay.
You see that?
So yeah, we can see it now. So we can't make it any bigger, but we'll get the idea here. We'll
First world problems.
We'll post the link for those who want to see it on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's video is weird because it does it every once in a while, but not all the time. I don't understand it, but.
Pachoo, pachoo, pow, pow, pow. Oh, kick. Ooh, jump. Kick, jump, and kick. Oh, man, these animations.
That's impressive for that. I mean, it's amazing.
Hell, freaking
yeah. 64 by 32.
I love that.
Hell,
there's a lot of info in there.
Yeah.
That guy's got some skills.
He's got mad skills.
Make that work, yeah. Very
well,
impressive.
I mean, Steve, you mentioned before that Eric Gavlik is not typically known for tactfulness.
Yeah.
And you'll notice his first comment is, I'm not sure for what yet, but I'm definitely hiring you for something. This is brilliant.
Yes.
That character, the main character, it must be just the colors in it, but it reminds me of Homer Simpson.
Yeah, the blue pants, yellow head, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's even got the cityscape in the background, and
Yeah.
he purposely
Like
has the background
sunset.
where the characters are moving mostly black.
Yeah.
So that he knows that he can do the different colors cleanly.
Yeah, and you could probably get away with some pseudo parallaxing at that point too. If you've got a split vertical line, you could have other things scrolling at a speed and that at a slower speed, and you could get a poor man's parallax.
Yeah.
Out of that.
You can even
That's-
have like the time of day change in the background by just changing those colors as the game progresses.
Yeah, as the
more
sun
night
rises
and
and
day.
sunsets. Yeah.
I think you can make
It's
a
an
game out of
application for
this.
the.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah,
application.
he's
for
working on a
real-time
game
clock.
for this, so
Yeah.
that's exactly what's.
I think. I mean, it's impressive to be able to show the various moves and stuff with this, this sort of graphical scale. It's quite nice. I mean, I think he's got something going here.
Yep.
Yeah, and he redid Outhouse using semi-graphics like looking stuff. Now it's actually a Windows application, but it looks like a CoCo game, and it still all works as if it was done in semi-graphics. But we're getting speeds on it that would not be capable in a real CoCo and stuff, and like background sound
Well, at least
effects.
not in basic. I think if you did an assembly, you could, but he's not an assembly programmer,
Yeah.
so he's.
So now Erico has got mad skills, man. He's an artisan. He's an animator. He's an artist. He's awesome. This is so cool.
Yeah, and plus he was working on that graphical adventure game that I know Nick had written some utilities to do semi-graphics, switching between two screens to even get more colors than the standard 9, kind of like he did with some of the dots in Rally SG. So it'd be interesting if he gets back to that. But I think he wants to get one of these arcade games done first. So
yeah, this is wicked cool.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would really like to see him actually do a semi-graphics 24 game like the highest res. We have 192 vertical lines you can change the colors on.
Right.
I'd love to see what he could do with that.
Well, I think part of what I think what he does here is he's got some Photoshop templates that are broken down into the blocks that match SG4. So I think and I think he might be using something like SG Edit too, maybe for some mock-ups. So SG24, when you got 192 lines, it's a game changer when you want to use some rapid tools for putting blocks on the screen. So not that he couldn't do it, but there's just a lot more vertical data to process at this point. But yeah,
the
visually,
horizontal data is still the same though. So you
Yeah.
still only have 64 pixels going across. So
Yeah.
you're still limited.
visually it would be really cool because there have been some cool things like the Storm, which is the Tempest clone. That actually looks pretty good in that SG mode, so.
Yeah, that's like Guardian somewhat. Protectors 2, I still think, for me, the showcase of showing what the graphics can look like. But there's a bunch of others. I mean, we've covered a few. I mean, you did a semi-graphics special with Nick and I think, way back when. We should probably update that because there's a bunch of others now. So
yeah, neat. Good job, Erica. Thanks. Ben Drake says, hello, I enjoyed Tetris this weekend. Good to see you, Ben.
Oh, great.
Free games for your Tandy Color computer. But wait, how much would you pay?
Now, this is a new YouTuber I had not seen before called the 64K Gamer.
Okay.
And he's got various other systems too. All the old 8-bits. He's got game consoles like the Magnafox Odyssey 2 and ColecoVisions and stuff like that, Ataris and the CoCo. So he did this video here just to basically show how you can go in the Color Computer archive, even with your phone, plug in the microphone jack onto the phone, or earphone jack, I should say, and then load them directly onto the CoCo itself. So he kind of goes through the, how to get to the archive and how to, load it up on your phone. So the game he chose as a demo here is Dragonfire.
Okay.
Now he's got pretty crappy, video quality in here, unfortunately, because of the scan lines and stuff recording on his phone.
And we have Dragonfire.
Okay.
But he's planning on doing some actual videos of actual gameplay, and he's actually got some actual cartridges and stuff too. So he's kind of new on as far as doing CoCo videos. So I'll be following his page to see what else he's got coming up. I've also left a message to him if he wants to either watch the show and kind of see if he wants to maybe guest on to talk about some of the stuff he's doing and how he got into CoCo and that kind of thing, do the whole history thing.
Very
so
cool.
We'll see what his response is for that. Next up. Retro Core put up their second part. I did see the first part of the Frogger one, and I noticed they didn't have the Dragon or the CoCo version of Frogger in it. So that's because there's a bazillion versions of Frogger, and he didn't want to make a video 17 hours long. So in this case here, he did part 2, which actually does include the Dragon.
Part 2.
So these are the ones he compares in part 2.
Okay, ColecoVision and Television, TI, Famicom, Dragon 32, Spectrum, Amstrad, Commodore, BBC Micro. Yeah, the BBC looks pretty good.
Yeah, some of them actually are pretty good. Some of them he's not that impressed with. Some of them he's like the graphics look good, but the controls suck. Like there's a delay or a lag or something like that. So he actually does a comparative review. The Dragon one, I mean, it's not the most visually stunning because it's in a lower mode, but he said the controls work very well.
Mhm.
I think that was with the Game Boy Color one. The controls, you have to jump ahead of time because it jumps diagonally when you jump off the logs and stuff. So it's like it's got the momentum, so you
Weird.
actually get thrown forward. So the timing's way off.
Terry Steaky says hi. From
Hey,
the YouTube
Terry.
chat.
Terry.
Hey, Terry. How you doing? All
So
right.
anyway, for those of you interested in Frogger, there's a pretty cool comparison video that involves the CoCo Dragon 32 version of it. So
Okay,
I
cool.
won't play the whole video because it's 12 minutes, but
But we know what ours sounds like. Ours has good background music, which I liked about it.
yeah, and one of the very few third-party official ports.
Yeah.
But just about everything else that was actually an official licensed version of a game came from Tandy, and this is one of the very few that was
The Cornsoft group, right?
Yeah.
And they had one for the TRS-80 Mono as well.
Yeah, by Cornsoft as well.
Yep.
In fact, the only other one I can think of, I think, is Moon Shuttle by Datasoft, because Tandy didn't pick that one up, so they sold that one on their own too. But I can't think of another third-party licensed arcade title, to be honest. I think everything else is Tandy.
Okay.
And
right.
finally, Cuthbert in the Cooler by one of our favorite gameplay viewers.
Rob's
Little
Retro
Gunner
Rambles.
Punk. Yeah.
Okay.
So I won't play that because there's a long one here, and he was kind of figuring out as usual the game as he goes. So it does have some.
I love these load screens. They're so cool.
This is going to be Cuthbert in the Cooler for the Dragon 32. I mean, you knew it was Dragon 32, aside from the title screen. So, yeah, I'd have put on this video the vibrant green and the custard yellow. And look, there's Cuthbert himself, all excited.
Is that character who they called Cuthbert?
There, or is that's just excitement.
I'm not sure if that was.
sweat
I'd
and
have to check
excitement, or is
the
that,
old
like, his hair
microdeal
falling out?
catalogs because it might have been their.
no
I know
idea.
it's their motto.
1985. We're getting quite late in the day.
Their
here for the
official
Dragon, aren't
representative of
we?
the company. I can't remember if he was specifically
yeah,
called
so maybe
Cuthbert.
this
That
will
was
be
just a
quite
series
an
of games.
advanced game. I have
Almost
no
looks
idea.
like What
I've
Me
just picked
Worry.
it out with the next
Yeah,
list.
right.
I have
Yeah,
no
pretty
idea
Newman,
if
yeah.
any instructions or anything. And I'm
right.
trying to think what.
Yeah, I'll fast forward a little bit here.
forward, yeah.
Notice they've spelled
He actually
instructions
does go
correctly.
through the
Not
directions a little bit, and I think we've seen this game before. So.
Oh yeah, we have. This is where you have to try to get the key and escape the
What
guards and
was I
stuff.
supposed to do again?
Okay, we've
Yeah,
seen
and then you
this.
go to the second screen where you have to get the map pieces and then go through
Okay.
the Ramble Pit or whatever it is, and then you have that third level. Now, one thing, his directions there that I didn't notice when I've
that
tried
not the
playing this game
gatehouse?
before
Is what they say.
is
gatehouse
that
was
if you
the
hold the
name.
joystick button down when you're on the raft, it'll actually speed up. Because I was always trying to get the timing right, and I'd always get hit by the guards or shot or whatever because
Okay.
you're going so slow across the river. So
Now is
I'll have to
this
try it again.
is this PAL artifacting or is he just using red and blue dithering here because you have a different shade of purple in here?
I think that's dithering just kind of blurred out here because
Okay.
he's playing on a PAL Dragon.
Okay, I like that kind of purple shade there.
But he goes through and gets generally frustrated like most of us do with these games. And
Neat. Yeah.
And that's it for the GameON news.
All right. Well, now we are going to take a brief commercial break, and then we'll be back with everyone's favorite part of the show, project updates and acquisitions. Thank you, L. Curtis Boyle, for the GameON news. Thank you, Nick Marentes, for the game segment. Thank you, Nick Marentes, for an awesome game. We're not done, but wait, there's more. We'll be back after these words.
And now, these messages. It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages. It's expandable and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale priced for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
Hi, I'm Kieran Anscombe, author of XRAW, and your brain is resolving sensory input into CoCoTALK.
At GSoft, we make games for the TRS-80 Color Computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
Tired of switching your joystick between the left and right port? Want to change between different controllers? Well, Joey has got you covered. The Joey Controller Switch. Take control of your controllers with the flip of 2 switches. Order today at cocoman.biz. And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gymes. Legend says, when the moon is full, if you go out in the country by the lake and whisper the name of Nick Marentes 3 times, his spirit will appear and he will grant you a product idea.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment cost, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Hi, I'm Terry Steen, author of Balloon Fire and other amazing games on the color computer. And you're listening to Stevie Stroh on CoCoTALK.
And we're sorry. All right, so we are here. It is time for everyone's favorite part of the show. We're talking about, yes, Nick Marentes.
If I may, just sorry, we had questions in the chat. I glossed over this in the GameON segment.
Okay.
If you would like the disc version of Bomb Threat, you go to rickadams.org/bombthreat. And if you were interested in the cartridge version, you send an email to Neil, Neil, at cococrew.org.
Okay.
And thank you, Stevie. I just said we had questions.
No problem. And Mikey, were you getting ready to say something?
No.
Okay. Thought I heard you say something. All right, so it's time for product updates and acquisitions. Who's got something they want to show and tell this week? Mikey does.
I do.
Mikey, well, you're going to have to wait your turn now.
Maybe you want to come to me a little bit later.
Okay.
Let other people go first, as I will give a little demo.
All right, Ron Delvo, you have the floor.
Okay, I can't start screen sharing.
Well, you didn't tell me you wanted to screen share. Now you can. Now you can screen share.
Okay.
We're waiting.
And there it is. No?
There we go. Ron's Garage.
Okay, so this is just a fun place to go, because there's all kinds of weird crap that I put on here. And if you're bored, come and visit. It's about some interesting things. I do some artwork now and then. I got something from Terry Steggy in the mail. And guess what? Here it is. Working.
Ooh.
I got a CD of the Beatles, and I put it in and played it, and that's the interface for the CD player, which is right in this area.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to hear it on these awesome speakers.
Oh, so awesome.
Those Tetras from the early 90s were one of the most fantastic laptops I've seen.
Yeah. And they weigh 23.5 pounds.
Get out of town. Wow.
How much RAM does it have in it?
80.
Ron? 80 meg.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. I have one with like 96 meg. It's like, really?
And Terry, God bless Terry's heart. The poor guy, he's had some issues, and we've been praying for him. And I hope he's doing well. And there's another favorite place to go is Show Us Your Tandy Color Computer, where I grabbed pictures of people's computers and put them here, so you can see a variety. Oops, there's mine. Anyway, just a whole bunch of people who have their own machines, and Oh, here's Radio Shack's setup. Yeah, that's cool. And there's
I miss Radio Shack.
And there's my little boy.
Yay.
On my first computer. Yeah, so cute. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The update or the acquisition being that computer.
Okay.
Good album too. That the Beatles one. That's a really good album.
Thanks,
is.
guys.
All right. Who else had an update or acquisition of something they would like to share? Brian Weasler's raising his hand. And then Nick Marentes will be next. Let me spotlight Brian Weasler. Go ahead, Brian.
Hello. A couple items that I got in I'd like to show everybody. One that I got recently here, he finally was able to ship them from Retro Innovations, the CoCo MIDI.
Oh, neat.
Oh, cool.
Yep, I haven't had a chance to plug it in and play with it yet, though. It does not come with a case. It's designed to fit into the to a ROM case. You have to kind of modify the top of the case so the ports will come through. But yeah, it's very nice. Very clean board that he put together. So.
How much did that cost you? I'm gonna have to get myself one of those, I think.
I believe it's 60.
That's pretty good.
It's on the Retro Innovations website.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually see behind you, Brian, that whole SCART pop-up thing that just came on the screen that they were talking about.
Yep,
with Tetris.
there it is. Yep.
There it goes.
Yeah,
right.
Yep. And if you press the M key there, it switches the mode there.
Okay, and then that goes away.
And then that'll probably go away after that disappears. Yeah, I don't think it comes back up again, but yeah, kind of the weird colors. And then there was another gentleman that posted a picture out there, and I reached out to him. His name is Fran Purcell, I think maybe his name is. He runs a company called Electronics Plus. He had posted a picture out there on Facebook, and what he had was a whole bunch of these circuit boards, the old style RAM upgrade.
Oh, neat.
And of course, it's a non-populated board, and there's a link that someone put out on the Facebook that shows what components, like the various capacitors and such. So he actually sent me two of these two of the boards.
Oh, neat.
So I might get the parts ordered that I need, the different sockets and stuff, and I'll try to assemble one. I know we have modern versions of it though, but it might be kind of a fun little project to do that. And then another gentleman, his name is Jeffrey Bird. I believe he posted this out on the Radio Shack Facebook page, and I reached out to him and I said, "That's interesting." I said, "That looks like it might plug into the CoCo because of the spacing." And he says, "Well, do you want it?" And I said, "Sure." And so he sent this to me in the mail. It's one of the perforated boards that Radio Shack used to sell. But
those are good.
But
Nice.
this is the ROM cartridge, and
Man,
the spacing there. So kind of
you are so lucky.
Yeah, so that was kind of a fun. I really appreciate it. I had something I wanted to trade with him, and he was just happy to see it go somewhere because he was actually going to take this and cut it up into pieces.
Oh, wow.
To make little,
no.
little project boards. So yeah. So I'm not sure what I'll do with it though, but it was neat.
I have a few suggestions. Blinky lights are a must.
How about a real-time clock?
Real-time clock.
Real-time clock. There you go.
Sound chip.
Don't forget to recap it.
Sound chip, yeah.
Cap it.
Come on,
We need 1 gigabyte of memory.
16 slot MPI.
1 gigabyte of memory. SSD.
Sound pack orchestra 90.
That's it.
Grease weasel adapter.
There you go. A while back, I showed some cassette games, kind of a learning education game, and there was a fourth one that I didn't have, and I recently got that one there. It's the Maze Master.
Ooh.
So it's part of their educational. It's a cassette tape there, and so it's just so I got all four of them now. Here's the other ones that I showed you guys if you remember seeing these.
Oh yeah, I like the boxes on there. Very. Very kind of
really cool.
PBS. Children's workshop type looking stuff there.
And then as you displayed there, I'll make this brief though. But yeah, I got I'm all set up too there. I got the bomb threat.
Nice. Yeah.
And the 3D Monster Maze.
I love I love new cartridges and in the box and the whole packaging and the whole thing. Yeah, it's neat.
Just a lot of little things here I got, and haven't got a book for a while, but I did score this one here. I put this one up on Facebook. Carlos Camacho had found this one, and I must have found it about the same time because a few days after he found his, I found this one as well, and it's really it's a nice one. I want to read through it a little bit more, but it's another book to add to the collection there. And then one thing I'd like to show them. Well, this one's actually a hardcover.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a hardcover one. Yeah, it was in the pictures I put up on Facebook. It was kind of interesting. It was actually in a library, but it was only ever checked out twice.
Okay.
So maybe it wasn't very interesting.
It's a hardly used book.
Hardly used.
Gently worn.
And then if I could share my camera real quick, I could.
I'm not sharing a screen that I'm aware of right now.
Let me just switch my camera. So one of the things we talked about here, what was it, about 4 episodes back? We talked about, things we'd like to get or acquire or wish list stuff.
Okay.
Well, I was able to get one of my wish list items.
Oh, you got a video text.
Wow. Video text. Yep.
Oh,
so
cool. It has a blinky light.
It has the blinky light right there and everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting machine. Obviously, it just turns on and there's no real software to run other than the terminal program itself. It has one port on the back. 2 ports, your video and then your the built-in modem. But if I could, I just wanted to open up because I was actually kind of surprised. It had already been opened, but of course it's somewhat like a CoCo, but not a CoCo. You still got the 6009 processor, and you got the same video chip and the same memory and everything.
Okay.
But you can see here that this is a much bigger board. The power supply is bigger. This whole area here is the built-in modem.
Wow.
Yeah. This is like a CoCo, the original CoCo 1. Like if you have an early board, I think if I open mine, I don't think mine would be like this. This is probably more like a C board.
This is like a neutered one.
Yeah. And you can see here there is no ROM cartridge here.
Right. But there's an
on the
opening
case.
for
It's
it.
all blocked out. So yeah, it's strictly it's a dedicated system, and probably dedicated ROMs right here as well.
Right.
So
now you could put a 6309 in there. You could put a CoCo VGA in there. There's a lot of things you can do here.
I just wanted to, since the cover, I try not to break the warranty seals if they haven't been broken, but this one had been broken, so I thought maybe, I don't know how many people had seen what the inside of one of these things looked like.
No, that is neat. That is neat.
So, but yeah,
it's a big old transformer there for the modem up the top.
Yep. Oh yeah, right here. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
for the audio side of it, yes.
When you're blasting out 300 bits per second, you need lots of power, man.
That's right.
Maybe it'll update to 14.4.
There you go.
Blast out 300 bits over 1970s telephone systems.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yeah.
About 500 decibels.
Yeah.
If you hook that in, it's going to want to download a bunch of updates.
Show us the inside of that case. Is it black?
Yes. I don't know if it's coming through very well, but it is.
Yeah,
it actually
plastic.
is black. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can see the plugs. The plugs for the ports for what would be for
the light.
one.
Oh, does it have like?
Was the LED standard?
What's that?
Was the LED standard?
Yes, that was your activity light.
Yes, it was.
Yep. It
Right.
actually plugs right in here on the board. There's a spot where it plugs in. So when you first turn it on, the light comes on and then it goes off.
Okay.
But from reading in the manual, once you connect to a service, the various service over when it's receiving data, the light will
Right,
be
it's
on.
like an activity light. Now, does the cassette relay click when you first turn it on too? Oh wait, there isn't one.
There isn't one. No, there isn't one. Yeah, you strictly have. There you go.
That's your RF
And-
out, and that's for an external modem, then, right? It's just serial.
Yep. Yeah,
right?
this didn't come with the cable. It's a DIN plug that's it's the same as what goes for the cassette, but it goes to a phone cord that you'd plug right into your into the
phone
wall.
line.
Why didn't the keyboard fall out?
It's actually it's the old style with the thinner ribbon. It's the one that has that heavy ribbon that's really stiff. So this it's not going anywhere. So
that's neat. Now, do you
the
mind?
modem's built right into it, right? Like the actual hardware.
Yeah,
modem?
it's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's your modem circuitry right here.
Do you mind saying what that cost you, or?
This was 160.
Okay. I mean,
Can we
they're
see the back of the lid?
They're pretty rare, so.
Let's see the back of the.
Wow.
What's that?
What's the
Let's see
serial
the
number?
back- the
What's the
back
serial
of the
number?
lid.
Oh, the serial
Show us-
number.
Yeah.
The serial number is 1236. don't know if it's coming through there. It's upside down probably for you guys, but
oh, the people in Australia can see it fine.
No, it's up the right way here.
I want to see the back of the lid.
The back of the lid. What the hell are you talking about? The back
Oh,
of
like
where the ports are?
Ports?
Where the ports are.
The rear of the top case.
Okay, yeah, so that's
see, that's what I was talking about, the plugs
Yeah.
that are still there for the ports that would be on a CoCo.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yep. So like use the
serial
same
port
mold, they just
and
didn't knock it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 TV, telephone. Yeah.
This is exciting.
This is like, if you think about the evolution, this is like the this is like the Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal to the CoCo, right? And the
And what's the difference between this one and the blue one?
Well, the blue one was your AgVision, so this is the video text. So this would go to your.
The blue one's
what was up the
probably a little bit older, right? That maybe came out earlier.
Well, would it
Yeah,
have
and
the same motherboard?
I'm going to guess it probably does, because from what I've been able to read about the AgVision was kind of the same principle as this system, where it would connect to different various services, but it was ag related. So for farmers and things like that, it probably would just connect to those type of services, I'm assuming. So
yeah, they have different ROMs.
So from the manual I've got, the AgriStar thing was pretty specific to farming, and obviously this is more Dow Jones new retrieval and that kind of thing.
Oh, Tim Franklin says looks like it needs to be recapped. So,
so when you turn this on, there's no cassette click, is there?
No, there's no cassette relay.
No cassette click. All you get is a blinking cursor that says video text. If you have the video text cartridge, you get the same result on your CoCo 2 or CoCo 1, where you just come up to the little video text and you hit enter, and it just sits there and blinks. I think there's a key that you press, then you can type in a phone number, and then it
Did this use the AT commands like Hayes modems? Do you have to type in like ATD or ATDT or anything?
No,
or
pre-Hayes.
I think so.
The Hayes protocol didn't even exist at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It did.
Oh, you got the manual. Look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants.
So,
like the old Tandy modems, they had that star protocol, wasn't it? Star. Then the
you could do like star 20, stars different. Star.
What's the date on the manual there in the beginning?
I always did star 69 to block caller ID.
I think the next page, yeah.
1980.
1980. It's the same year as the CoCo. That's neat.
Mr. Dave raised his hand, so I think he has a comment.
Yeah, I have a question. If you pull out the extended basic ROM, where that would have been, will it boot up as a regular CoCo?
There's only one way to find out.
I really don't know, because I mean it has a lot of the same chips. I mean, it uses the same chip here for the video, and it has the same. What was that chip number?
PIA
aren't we a PIA short there?
Yeah, usually there'd be two PIAs, and so.
Is there a SAM as well, or is not?
That I'm not sure about.
Oh yeah. Did they have a salt?
6883.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hold my beer moment.
CPU there. This must have come out after the CoCo, because we have all the
knockouts.
We have the knockouts available, and I would wonder if that ROM number is the same as a regular CoCo ROM. And just
I think the original version, which I can't remember which came first, the AgVision or the video text terminal. I think the AgVision did, but I think that was actually predated the CoCo.
Yeah,
when I remember.
I see three.
It's probably hard to see right here, but on this ROM that's right here, it actually says video text right on the ROM. It says Tandy 81 video text.
What's the other one say?
It just has a like a Motorola part number on it.
What is it? 68.
MC or MCM 6810P. 6810.
6810.
I don't know.
Look that up.
10. Yep. P.
Interesting.
It's also got 3 honking power supplies in it, judging from the 3 regulator chips I see down there. So
yeah, there's one.
Where's where your salt chip went? They just did it the hard way.
Yeah, let us know if it'll boot as a regular CoCo that can't do anything. Once you pull out
I'd have to get some ROMs, but I might be a little hesitant to do that. But I don't want to blow.
No, you don't need the ROM. Just pull out the EEPROM.
Have you had it on for a while to see if it warms up?
No, I've had it on for maybe 20 minutes is all. But I don't know if there's really a lot of heat out of here at all.
And I think if I remember correctly, the modem's limited to 300 baud, right?
Right. I think if you put a tin tray on top of there, you could probably bake cookies with that thing.
Well, I did take the cover off here so we can see this. This would normally be covered right here.
Yeah,
with
an RF shield, right?
Yes.
What is the RAM in there? Is it maybe 16K or 4K or?
It's hard to say. It looks like.
Are they 4116s or 4164s?
It's 4K.
It didn't need much else for the terminal program. There's no basic program or anything.
High-res and that's really old. So
they are Tandy chips though. 0027. 804 0027. I know I've seen it in some of the CoCo ones. That ROM or RAM.
What's the PIA? Is it a 6822 or a 6821?
21.
Oh yeah.
Neat. So the seldomly seen video text terminal / CoCo predecessor, and under the hood, what does it look like? Very cool stuff.
That's a Motorola processor.
Yes.
6809.
What's that? Yes.
60. Yeah, it's not a AMI or whatever.
Yeah, just a P. Yep, the similar ones that you see in the CoCos. Yep.
It's not an E.
No doubt the power supply there too on one of those regulators is probably to supply power for the dedicated modem.
Yes. I would assume so as well.
Neat. That is a neat little slice of history right there.
That's all I got, sir.
All right. Very cool.
Nice.
Somebody else was getting ready to raise their hand. I don't remember who it was. Okay, we have a few here. So how about Brian Schubring? We don't get to hear from you as often. Nick Marentes, hopefully you don't mind. How you doing, Brian? How you been, brother?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you fine.
All right. I've got something here that I forgot that I had from way back in the day.
Is that the home controller unit?
Read what it says.
For NRI electronics course with CoCo 3 hardware.
That's interesting.
What does that mean? NRI course in microprocessor technology.
Woohoo! You get a board. You get hardware that you put together so you can do a whole bunch of different things and discover how to do the registers and all of that on the Color Computer 3.
Oh, neat.
And that I've never put it together. I've scavenged a few parts on here that kind of need for a couple other projects and such. But I picked this up for a couple bucks at my Hamfest. I don't know how long ago, to be honest. I think somewhere right around 10 years ago or more.
Wow.
And I just haven't done anything with it.
Is that the one that has the card that has the breadboard on it?
Yeah, it's never put together. I got the breadboards elsewhere, but yeah, you got here, you got all your components that go on here, and then away you go.
Very cool.
So
I like that.
I actually, believe it or not, went through the full NRI course for electronics and got the scholarship.
Wow.
Degree. So
now, for idiots like me, what does NRI stand for?
McGraw-Hill National. I can't remember what it was called. It was an educational program for correspondence course.
Okay.
So like Radio Institute, National Radio Institute, something like that.
Yeah. It actually is. Yes, and they actually had this. They had it for the for doing music, with the CoCo, and also with the Commodore. But they dropped it before I started. For the Commodore. So.
Well, the Commodores end up doing very well in the music industry.
Yeah. It was actually for the Atari. Is what they were doing too. Is what they went. I think
they went over like a brick house.
So.
Yeah.
So that's just something quick and fast. So
cool. That is
little nostalgia.
Absolutely.
Picking up what you're dropping, Stevie. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah. You got my back.
You know, it's packaged like a appliance and light controller.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. One of those.
It's because the guy put it in that box because he didn't have the other packaging.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, it was put into that box, but he's got everything else there, and it came with a cassette for loading in programs.
Let's see that. Let's see that instruction booklet close up.
Got enough light there?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah, you can see the board, the breakout
that's
board
not an
there.
instruction booklet. It's just a catalog for it.
Now, this program came with a CoCo 3 if you signed up for this program.
Yes, it came with the CoCo 3.
So you
for the program, and I was going to first do for the music with the Atari. They had the CoCo. I was going to do that, and then when I was just going to sign up for that, they dropped it too. So I ended up going with the full electronics course. So
Funny thing is, they spelled color correctly.
No, this is from America. So.
Oh, America.
America, yeah.
America. We leave out the vowels. Yes.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, that's
6 steps to computer mastery with microprocessor technology. Look at that guy. That guy looks really serious. He's got a collared shirt on.
Wow.
He's got these crisp sleeves going on there.
Look at that proto board there.
Get the
You know,
proto
Brian-
board.
Just a little higher.
yes, just a little
You
higher.
you got a scanner?
Yeah,
I
hold
bet
a
you,
little higher.
you should scan this stuff.
This should go in the
Yeah,
archive.
Yeah, you should put this on the archive.
Yeah.
That
I
would be
can do
cool.
that.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'm actually looking right now on the internet to see whether or not if I can find any of the old material and all that too. So
Because
that
I think
would be-
most of us have never seen this.
No. never heard
Yeah.
of it.
No, it's
It's rare. That's rarer than a videotex terminal.
maybe.
No offense, Brian.
Yeah, so screw you, Brian Weezer. You and your crappy acquisition this week.
Jeez.
Because it mentions on the literature there that it came with a disk drive, so I'm assuming it came with discs with tutorials and stuff on it as well. or-
No. Oh, you're right. It does. Okay.
It was an interactive
Only
CD-ROM.
slimline disk drive, controller. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It did come with that. All that fun. I never got that hardware. I just got the board itself, the electronics.
That is really cool.
So
Yeah, but you could nice if we can find the whole package, like what software came with
Oh,
it,
yeah.
because the disk drive obviously would have had that for that reason.
Yeah.
And then see what the whole
Yeah.
tutorial was like.
Oh,
wonder what the box looked like.
Retro Innovations.
Maybe it'll even
is-
teach me not to solder my own hair. Anyway, go ahead, Steve.
what does Jim have to say?
Retro Innovations is saying scan the PCB too on both sides, and we can see if we can replicate all the parts on the list.
Cool.
Sure.
That is
awesome.
cool. That is cool. Very cool. That is, yeah. So a couple of rare things today. Speaking of rare and wonderful things, I think Nick Marentes had something he.
Yes. May I help you? There's only one of me.
My turn
okay?
yet?
It is
No,
Nick
it's my
Marentes.
turn.
Nick
Well, mine
Marentes.
mine is not rare, but as you see, I'm playing Pac-Man on my MC10 back there.
That's a beauty.
I was finally able to use my MC10 because I picked up the drive wire cable from cocoman.biz, along with I got a little netbook here sitting running MC server, so I'm able to actually use my MC10
Use
now.
Pi drive wire.
It doesn't work on there. It's weird. When I run it, I get some sort of you don't have access.
It's
to
64-bit. That's why.
extract the
Okay.
manifest.
We'll have to sit on Discord sometime and work that out.
But I'd like to use Pi DriveWire, but for now, MC server's running okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to. But yeah, we should talk. So I'd like to get a Pi DriveWire going.
What's
So
that
I'm able to
good
use
looking
mem-
cartridge sticking in there?
So I'm able
That's
to
the
use
memory
my-
upgrade.
MCX 128.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's giving me my MC server access. So yep. So pretty happy. I can actually finally use it now.
Neat.
So and thank
Cool.
you to Coco Man for sending me the DriveWire cable, and he told me which
So when you go
adapter to use. for
when
the
you go
USB.
shopping, you stop right there.
I do.
Stop right there at cocoman.biz.
CocoMan.biz, yep.
Very cool. Now, Mikey, you've been hot on the heels to show us something. Are you ready, Mikey?
Yes, I am. Let me click the button here.
Payback time.
I think it should be this one, right?
What's that box?
Now,
on
all
your
right.
face?
Can you guys see? I have two windows up here.
Yes, we can.
All right.
DriveWire and Pi DriveWire console.
So I have Pi DriveWire sitting here, and I've been working on some user interface stuff for it. So one of the guys on the CoCo list, I think his name is Charlie or something. He said, "Well, can't you just make a standalone terminal?" So I've done that. I'll actually show you the code for this, just to show that show that it works. Still says 0.5C, but you can see as I type stuff here, it shows up. The requests show up over here, and this is using I think this thing has been around a while. It's called Python. So I've actually written Python code, and this code on the screen here, it actually creates the little box where you type in. It creates the input bar and the buttons, and then it connects those buttons to things that you do. So this is actually the implementation. This one screen of code, Python code, is actually the implementation of this console.
Oh, neat.
That's running in the web browser. So I'm probably going to put this one in the next version of PyDriveWire as a standalone console. I need to do the colors and actually finalize it. This was just a can I get the thing to work? And yes, I can. So going on that idea, one of the things that I think some people struggle with is all of the options and things that are available with PyDriveWire. So now that I have, I don't personally really like JavaScript very much. It's not my first language. I have to Google everything. I am way more I can get a lot more done in Python. So I've started playing with this. This is just a proof of concept right now. I'm not planning to include this in the next PyDriveWire release because it needs a lot of work. But essentially what I've put together is I have put together a setup wizard to help guide you through the process of generating a configuration file for PyDriveWire. So this is not finished. It's just a proof of concept, just to show what's possible. Okay, I'm going to go through the wizard. So, it says this wizard will guide you through setting up PyDriveWire for the first time. At the end of the wizard, you will be able to save the configuration, and then you must restart the PyDriveWire server for those changes to take effect. So this isn't all finished yet, but I can at least show you the workflow. So I'm going to click the begin button. The first question is, do you wish to enable the web user interface? Yes is default selected with the port number. If I click no, it goes away. Yes, you can fill it in. No, it goes away. And it even tells you here the PyDrive, if I can change the number, it even changes. Yep. It even changes down there. But it clearly says here the web user interface will be available at this IP address.
Right.
All right. So let's say yes. Leave it at port 6800. Continue. So the next question sort of addresses another problem that people have. This is sort of a gap in my documentation that I don't actually describe this, but this is how you configure what is connecting to the PyDriveWire server. There's a similar dialog. It's a little bit fancier than this in the Java server. So let's suppose that I'm going to select. I think I should probably put this serial. I don't know. I still have to play around with this. But what I want to show is that the different CoCos communicate on DriveWire at different speeds. So if I select serial, these are not real ports. They're just simples. If I click CoCo 1, a CoCo 1 does DriveWire at 384. A CoCo 2 does DriveWire at 57.6, and it automatically changes. The CoCo 3 does, etc. Right? And the CoCo 3 FPGA, normally this is the fastest speed. And MC10, and you can of course customize it. TCP/IP connections. If you were, I should probably have a button that says emulator up here. If you're using VCC DriveWire or MAME DriveWire, you're connecting it over the Becker port that's built into those. You need to have TCP/IP accept, and of course, PyDriver can also make an outgoing connection. My CoCo, whatever, right? I'm going to leave it at for this example. I'm going to leave it at serial, and let's say we're doing CoCo 3 today.
Mm-hmm.
Go on to the next step. Do you want to enable printing support? And then if I say yes, all the options are here. Do you want to print a PDF text? Where do you want it to go? What do you want the files to be named, etc.? So after going through that workflow, this is actually the configuration that I've written. It set the UI port. These are the options for, I selected CoCo 3 on the stereo port at 15200, and these are the printing options. So if I'm happy with this, I can click Save and type the name. And the default name here is main, because this is the main, the first instance, the name is usually main. So I'm going to go ahead and add another instance. I'm going to go through this very quickly. Let's say that we're doing an emulator, and we want to accept. Okay, I'm just going to say continue here. This is the configuration for the second instance. So I can save that and say this is Becker port or something. Okay, so that's been saved. Now there's another part of this that's a configuration editor. I'm not going to go into the complete details of this, but I can actually click on this and edit it. I can actually go in the box here and put. I changed it. I can actually put stuff in the config and save it, and the other instances here as well. But if I click the button that says show the current version of the config file, this is actually the complete config file that the server is going to run. It's the first instance. You see I put in this test here.
Mm-hmm.
That showed up, and then here's the second instance.
Instance 1, right? You got
And
your
then
main.
when this is completely finished, you will be able to click a button, and it'll actually upload it to the Pi DriveWare server, and it will tell you to restart. So this is a proof of concept. I'm still working on it. Pi DriveWare has a lot of options, and I realized that it's complicated for people to get it configured. So this is just something I'm playing around with, and it seems like it's really needed to help people out with DriveWire.
Jen.
Yes.
Okay, if you have a second instance, would that be for a second machine that you have hooked up? Like if you had a CoCo 1 and a 3 hooked up to the server? Okay.
Yes. So the Java server does this as well. You can have multiple server instances, and you can configure those to connect to different things. They can each, if you have multiple serial ports connected to your machine, you can have one that connects to one computer, another one that connects to another computer. You can just keep going as many serial ports as you can connect there. It'll do that, and then for the so you can configure one server to talk to multiple things at the same time.
Cool.
Anybody else have any questions about this, or think it's a good idea, bad idea?
No, it's helpful.
Great idea.
Excellent idea.
I like it.
It's actually, I mean, I was actually smart enough to figure out how to do it from the command line by reading your docs, but more user-friendly, and the more lower the barrier to entry for people to get up and running with it, the better.
Right.
And,
remember,
Mikey, it would
yes.
be nice if there would be on pretty colors.
Oh, well, I haven't. I'm a programmer. I'm not a web designer.
Okay.
Actually, I was joking with Alan when I showed him this. I personally learned how to do web programming in the late 1990s, and this is the kind of thing that we'd have in the 1990s. It would look just like this.
Well, it's a
Nowadays,
retro hobby.
People want things to be prettier, so I have to either get a graphic designer to help me, or just brush up on my CSS and put the colors in, and do all that kind
screw
of
it.
stuff.
It's a retro hobby. They don't like it. Screw
I
it.
want more radio buttons, and I want blinking text.
Okay.
And lasers. We want lasers.
I want a page hit counter on the bottom to know how many times.
Lasers.
Real-time clock.
I want
Oh my
a
gosh.
link to GeoCities.
I want it to say best viewed in Netscape Navigator. I want a page hit counter on the bottom.
Now, I paid for Netscape Gold, so I wanted to make.
I think you have to follow the Steve Jobs thing. You have to make the buttons lickable. That's what you really want.
Uh-huh.
I want it to
Acid
flash.
built into it.
I want it to flash, so I go into a trance and then send you money.
It's Bitcoin. Insert Bitcoin here.
Right.
And
Yeah, if that works, send that to Nick Marentes because he needs a 5th Ferrari too. So.
That's cool, Mike.
Join my
Keep in
web
mind, That priority mailbox in the background is the property of the U.S. Postal Service, so you must use it for mail eventually.
Yeah, Manny says it must have an under construction.
With the little guy that's digging the shovel that's digging. Yeah.
Coming soon.
Yeah,
that's what they did back then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I had it on my website.
The early days of the web. Does
Under
anybody?
construction.
Yes. Does anybody
Mr. Dave.
else have
Mr.
an
Dave.
update?
Mr. Dave does.
Yeah, I got a few little things.
Okay.
All right. So first up, I got my bomb threat cartridge. Pretty happy about that. The other night, I got the Rally SG.
Nice.
So Nick Marentes.
Did that make it across the Canadian? Make it across the Canadian border fine?
Yeah.
We only got 80% of the bits, though.
Was that Bob Vanderpool that used to drive into the U.S. to ship his stuff?
Yeah, I think it was from BC. Or actually, we might have been in Alberta still back then.
Some people do that, yeah. If you're close to the border, it's...
I know lots of Canadians that have boxes just across the border.
Yeah.
Well, the matter of, when I ship something, to Canada compared to like right across the border in, say, New York State, it's a ridiculous amount different. Something that might cost $3, $4 to send here will cost like 15 to send across the border.
What are we looking at here, Mr. Dave? Is this before or after the Flames came out?
Yep, this is after the Flames.
Okay.
This is dumpster fire.
This is after two small fires. So I got a MSX2 Panasonic machine, and it needs a weird power supply that didn't come with it. So I need 18 volts AC and 9 volt DC. So I looked around. I found a TI power pack that was good for 18 volts. So I hooked that up. And to get a strong enough 9 volt DC, I ended up using my power supply from the MC10. It's actually a really beefy power supply, but it's AC. So I went into my bargain bin of diodes and I soldered up a power supply and it caught fire.
Oh.
Caught fire. Surprise,
Yeah.
surprise,
What
surprise.
a bargain.
You must have
You
stopped
forgot to
recording here, Mr.
recap it,
Dave.
didn't you?
No, you can see the nice new cap right there. So okay, maybe
no pictures.
Maybe it was cheap, so I got another diode from the bag, and then of course Sharon came running in. It smells bad here. What's happening? Well, yeah, there's fire.
The smoke got out.
So the good news is, oops, oh, wrong button.
Your house didn't burn down, obviously.
No, house didn't burn down. So the good news is I was able to get it going. Let's see what else. Won't take long. And also got this little gem.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Yeah, MSX, huh?
Yeah, it's sort of like the MC10, except it plays like 800 games.
That is neat. That looks,
So
like I
half the
say, it
Jim
looks
Gary
kind of
collection.
looks like kind of Spectrum-ish,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's their little mini version of the MSX, and it came with a power pack and works fine in our system.
That's neat.
One last photo.
I have an MSX I've yet to mess with yet.
I really need to. Here's the MSX2.
Nice. That's a nice looking. Is that the space bar there where it says space?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
No, push the button, it transports itself to outer space.
Yeah. Okay. Now, is there any key on there that says any? So when it says press any key, is there a?
Give me a tab.
And you also get two.
Give me a
cartridge
Pepsi
slots, of
free.
course.
You can't open up a tab. You haven't started anything yet. Look at
It
that.
boots up to this wonderful home screen. You can play little games. There's a real-time clock, but she's locked at you can't go past 1999.
Oh, it's not Y2K compliant, huh?
No, not yet.
It's very not forward thinking of them.
I like the not yet.
Not yet.
Well, you have to keep those list of years where previous months would all line up for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
28 years, exactly.
Here's a game running on the little Casio.
Oh wow.
So
that's cute.
Yeah, I didn't have time to do too much of my CoCo stuff this week, but I'm going to start on my CoCo 3 project pretty soon.
Okay.
And I entered my CoCo 2020 into the competition. I think we were supposed to talk about that this week.
What competition? Oh, you're talking about the CoCo Art Gallery? What do you mean competition?
The trash talk competition.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
He's
okay.
muted.
And maybe his microphone caught on fire.
Yeah.
You can unmute him.
I'm back.
He's back.
Okay. Looking for this information. It's the CoCo. No, it's the
Trash Talkers is what they were saying.
Oh my god! I wish I could remember stuff. I will find it here.
Okay. Well, while he's
looking
looking
on Discord.
Does anybody else have an update they want to share?
Rick Hewland, I believe, does.
Yeah, a little bit of things. I was digging around in my attic for floppy disks, and I found this jewel.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots.
Now, is that the A-Bus one, or is that the Frank Hogg one, or which one is that?
It's a CoCo
Ask
cartridge.
me. I can't say. It's a CoCo.
CoCo
I've got
cartridge.
I'm sure it was in my
the
repair
BT
pile.
1006 or whatever the heck it was called. I can't remember now.
It is not labeled in any way, shape, or form, so I'm going to have to fix it so it works, so I'll know whose it is. But I did find it.
Did you recap it?
I have not recapped it. No vital smoke has come out, so it's probably good. They got all the logic in a cartridge case, which is not a cartridge case. Oh no, it is. They actually used a physical
a gaming
CoCo
cartridge
game
case
for the case for the logic.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I'll have to fix that. And then the other thing is, after so many different requests for different configurations, I have decided the mouse timer might just become this itty bitty little logic board that anyone can stick any kind of joystick in or outs onto and turn into a product for any computer that has 2 fire buttons or less. So I'm thinking that might be the thing I make. Everything's off to the prototypers to do the original plug into the back CoCo, but that doesn't seem to be very popular, so I'll probably just build that for me and anyone who might want one. But I think this little logic board is going to be something I might actually be able to do something with. So anyway, that's where I'm at this week.
Well, does this board have a name of an American company or American thing, or is it going to be like a continuation of the Down Under stuff?
No, that's Jason's got the market on that.
Well, you know, this is the mouse tamer. What you do with it
Mouse
is up
tamer.
to you.
Ah.
So, because, you know.
So was it down under or up over?
Up over. Over under. Anyone
Right.
else?
Found
Anyone
it.
else have a project update or acquisition or something to talk about that they acquired this week? Anyone? Mr. Dave is showing something else. Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay, so what is that?
This is the Double Do 2020 competition.
Okay.
So they're looking for any kind of game, program, innovation, hardware. So I'm going to enter my wonderful CoCo 2 with the RGB keyboard.
Okay.
Oh, I entered it this morning, so they were pretty happy with it.
Okay, neat.
That line, the only request that we have is that commercial releases need to hold off selling them until after December 2020.
Are you serious? Okay.
Interesting.
See how that goes. All right, that's cool. Well, I showed this
What
off.
will you win?
I don't know.
What will he win?
I don't know.
Sure.
Av will send you a completely working TRS-80 Model 2. No, I'm just kidding. From
I'm looking for
Australia.
bragging rights.
There's some hardware cards you win, like
Yeah,
or
I showed this off last night when we were doing our test, but I'll try to show it off again here today in the big show. But this is a board I just got from eBay that I ordered like 4 months ago, but it is a CGA to VGA adapter. So you can see here it says MDA, CGA, EGA to VGA converter. So on the one, oh, I just dropped it. Okay.
And now it's broken.
It might need a recap
How much?
at this point.
Yeah. How much?
This is where you would plug in your 9-pin, and then this is your VGA output, right? So I'm hoping to use this on my Tandy 1000 to be able to capture it, record from it, and play with that on a modern display.
What, like Cosmic Aliens?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
So that kind of leads into, I've been thinking about my projects that I've been sitting on and not knowing what to do with. And so one of the reasons why I kind of stopped working on Cosmic Aliens is because I felt like it kind of got out of my hands. I had John Strong gave me some assembly code to help make it better, faster, stronger. And then he put so much code in there that I don't understand. I kind of lost track of what I could do in the game. I just felt like it wasn't even my game anymore, and I didn't know how to move forward, and so I just kind of stopped moving. So now that I have the ability to look at my Tandy 1000, I want to maybe record a couple of videos, because I haven't actually done a video of the original game running on the original hardware. So I want to do that. I want to show off the original game again. And then I want to go back to the last version I had where it was in BASIC, where it was all my code, and then maybe just put some finishing touches on that, and I'm just going to release it because it's just been sitting around for years. And I'm just going to say, here it is. This is the game. More versions will come in the future, but I have to release a product. And so hopefully in the near future, I'll have a final version of the basic version of Cosmic Aliens that I can throw out in the wild for people to enjoy or not. And then I got a few things I got to do to finish off Kabam. Just a few things, not a lot. And then I just want to get those done because I've had these two lingering basic games that have been like thorns in my side for decades. When they're done, now I'm moving on to assembly. I don't need any more crutches or excuses or anything else to hold me back.
So you're going to wind up with 2 tires and maybe the engine of a Ferrari.
Maybe a rusty bumper of an old VW Bug or something. So yeah, I've had this Tandy 1000 now that I haven't used because it takes up so much space and the big monitors and stuff. So now hopefully I can get it where I can look at it on my PC and play with it and do a few things and then move on.
Tandy 1000 do you have, Stevie?
The original Tandy 1000, the first Tandy 1000. Yeah, it's got a 20 meg hard drive in it with controller card. It's got a floppy. It's got a multi-board with like serial and parallel ports and stuff like that on it. One of those real long multi-IO cards.
So when you turn it on, it makes noise, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So
does that version support the Tandy, 16 color graphics?
Oh yeah, that's standard. Yeah, even the first gen Tandy, it had the PC Junior.
Those graphics modes are unheralded, but at the time, I mean, it was really nice to have that as a feature, and the sound as well.
Yeah.
I felt like the big dog back in the day when my PC friends had nothing, and we
had right.
Games were sold with Tandy graphics.
Yeah, that was the selling feature.
Sierra and a bunch of companies.
That was the I kind of look at the Tandy 1000 as the first gaming PC because it had better colors, graphics, and sound than the average PC did.
It's funny how they went after the PC Junior market, and there was no market, so they carved their own market effectively.
Yeah. Do I have the manuals? I might. I'm not sure. It was a good collection.
If you don't, email me. I'll send you one.
Okay. It came with a lot of stuff. It came with a lot of floppies. And this is one that I think Evan Wright had gotten and held on to me for a year because the guy who sold it was in Chicago and he was going to sell it only local pickup. So Evan got it for me and held on to it. A year later, I got it. That was a year ago. So it's been like 2 years in the making of me getting to the point where I could use this freaking Tandy 1000. And that's kind of what I figured. Let me just get it. Let me make a quick video with it. Let me have it where I can record on it and do some things. I think it would be kind of cool too to play some of the original Sierra games on the Tandy 1000 because those were my first experiences playing like King's Quest and Space Quest with the Tandy graphics and the Tandy sound. So it'd be kind of cool to relive some of those memories. The challenge is going to be getting those games into the Tandy because it's not on the network. I'm pretty sure if I really, really, really tried, I could probably find an ISA 10 megabit Ethernet card and fudge DOS to get on my home network, but that's way more work than I want to do. So I'm probably going to do a bunch of floppy swapping to get them all copied onto the hard drive, to get them in there.
Or GoTech.
And they say, I was going to ask, the GoTech might be the way to go on those. If there's I don't know if the Tandy drive interface was standard at the time. Floppy drive.
No drive wire?
The GoTech's an excellent choice if that's an option.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
We use that on the Amiga, and it's gold. I mean, it's a must-have.
Okay. And that would support like copy protected discs too, if they happen to be that way.
It just all you do is put a bunch of the discs, the disc. Well, on the Amiga, it's an ADF file, the disc files.
Okay.
And then you literally use the controls on the GoTech to pick the file you want to think that's in there, and that's it. It would be great for that sort of setup. Again, I don't know if the floppy drive was a standard PC drive.
I think it is. It's a 34-pin connector because I've actually had to juggle a few to get the damn thing to work.
It's something to ponder.
Yeah.
The GoTech's a good choice.
Okay. Well, because I have an actual physical floppy on there, and I've also got a tweener machine that's like a Windows 98 box. It's also got a 5 1/4 inch floppy that is on my home network. I could use that to pump, real floppies into it and copy them to the hard drive. So, but GoTech, I'd definitely look into.
It's funny, back in the early DOS days where everything was sort of a booter and there was no hard drive installation, because I had a Tandy TL and an SL that had no hard drive at all. So everything played off the floppy drive, and that's the way that's the way the games came.
Right. Well, some of the early Sierra games almost had their own DOS on them where you booted to that disk, but then later on they were all in MS-DOS format and you could copy them to a hard drive, and then it would just do a copy protect, please insert floppy, and they would just check the floppy for the protection, and then they'd run off the hard drive. Yeah.
It's great showing people who own PCs how bad their PCs are, though, by playing their exact same floppies on your Tandy 1000, and they look so much better.
And sound better, too.
Oh, yeah. 16 colors, 3 voice music. It was high end.
Difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because I was working at Radio Shack at the time, and we always have those store demos, too, that had like all the Christmas scenes with the multi-voice music. I would love to find some of those demos and get those and run them and record some videos on them, because those were like system sellers. I mean, I was a salesperson and I was selling Tandy 1000s like hotcakes at 6% commission on a $1,200 system, so because those damn demos were gold, man. So yeah, and there are as Steve Powell was saying, that they do make some hard drive adapters that use compact flash for hard drives, or some. I actually have one of those. I have an IDE to compact flash adapter. And then the thing about the Tandy 1000 is because it was only an 8-bit bus, it was ISA, and IDE is actually a 16-bit bus. They actually have to make a different converter that converts ISA to IDE, and it's a whole thing. But you can get one of those IDE to compact flash adapters to work on an ISA bus system, but it's a kludge. I'm lucky I've got a real hard drive on there, so I'll probably just use that until it dies, so yeah, cool.
Hey Stevie, what path were you going to take with your assembly language? I know we started the videos there, but I don't know if you were going to use this book here, the one I'm holding up, or are you going to go through this book?
I'm not gonna do that book for a couple of reasons, because I'm going to do a video series on it, and I know William Barden has been kind of copyright conscious about those. He's asked for his book to be taken off of archives and stuff, so I don't want to contribute to any distress that may cause him. So I'm going to be using the Don and Kurt Inman book that I have. I have the physical copy and I've got the digital copy, and that one's really game centric.
Yeah. So if you're writing games, it's definitely it's an easier one to learn.
I'm going to be basing my stuff off of that. So I'm hoping to get that started.
Also, that book is the
I'm sorry.
It's the Don and
Kurt and Don Inman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with that book too is it's very specifically the cartridge version of EdTasm, which really kind of limits you in this day and age.
Right, but I'm sure you could work around it with Disk EdTasm or whatever, or even Robert Galt EdTasm. So that's not going to be my first thing I might do. I might do that one offline and just go through some of the lessons as well, but I'm looking for more of a fast tracking thing. It's on the Color Computer Archive, Manny. If you look for, let me find the book just to show it off, and you can search for it.
Yeah, because back in the day when I first started doing assembly language graphics, it was much easier to learn from that book than Barden. Oh, there you go.
Yep. Okay. I know what you're talking about now. Thank you.
Yeah. So assembly language graphics for the TR-SATA Color Computer, Don Inman, Kurt Inman, and this is on the Color Computer Archive if you search for it.
Did you get that on eBay?
Somebody did, and they sent it to me.
Oh, okay. I just noticed the eBay bookmark sticking out on the top of it.
Yeah. Dan Loyal sent that to me.
$800 if you buy it on eBay.
Yeah.
Bargain at half the price.
Yeah. No, this one's in really good shape. And then David Lord sacrificed his physical copy and scanned it to upload to the archive. So we have a scanned version of this now too. This is somewhat hard to find in the wild, this book right now.
Who wrote that book?
Kurt and Don Inman. No relation to Rob.
Why don't
no relation to Rob Inman?
Same way.
What was the question?
Why don't you say their name the same way?
Don Inman and Kurt Inman?
It sounds the same to me.
Inman.
Oh, Inman. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry about that.
Don't encourage him.
A little slow, Ron. Yes. Anyways.
What happened to your NASA display there, Ron? Your meatball disappeared.
It got warm in here.
Ah.
All right. Have we covered everything that we need to cover today? Are we ready to put a fork in this week's show?
I think it's been well forked.
All right, so we are going to do that. I'd have another panel topic, but we're already going on
3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. So we'll save a panel topic for another week. So before we go, to play us out, how about a little bit more of Comrade Gimes, huh?
And now, party-approved CoCo Thoughts with Comrade Gimes. In Soviet Russia, Tetris block drop you.
This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click the Patreon link at our website at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
CoCoTALK would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, Grant Leedy, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reicher, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Tom C., Rob Inman, Mark Bosley, Brian Joyce, Ken Reichert, David O'Connor, Brian Weasler, Terry Steggy, Nick Marotta, John Strong, and many more, especially to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and James Differendaffer for making my head explode. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its various contributors. A list of resources is available at imacoconut.com. That's IMACOCONUT.com. The CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore.
The CoCoTALK train wreck is over, and we welcome you to the last surviving car. Join us in Zoom for CoCoTALK Caboose, a recap of today's show.
All right, well, there was something I forgot to mention while we're done, so we're not quite done yet. We're nearly done. It's like nearly headless Nick. Nearly headless Nick. How can anyone be nearly headless? All right, so We are nearly ready to put a fork in this one. So, Curtis Boyle, why don't you say what you were going to say, and then I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
Oh, I was just going to say if there's any plans to have live gameplay like we sometimes do after announcing the new game for the week, either tonight or tomorrow, that people can tune into. Is there any plans for one for Crystal City?
That's a great question. Would anybody like to do a live shared gaming experience tonight playing Crystal City? Nick Marota? Anyone else? Jason the Coco Man?
I will be busy. Load.
What was that, Mark B?
I'm still just trying to get the game to load.
Ah. All right. Well, what I'm going to say is this, and I think I mentioned this in our private planning channel earlier too, is that when we do our nighttime stuff, we typically don't use Zoom. But I want to make sure that we don't use Zoom tonight because I've set up a meeting code for the Florida Retro Club to have a virtual meeting tonight. And I'm not sure if we tried to meet while they met, even though they've got a different meeting code, I don't know if Zoom's going to handle that. So we typically use Discord. So if we're going to do it, just make sure we do it in Discord and not on Zoom. So that's, I guess, to be determined. So I'm not sure if Mark B wants to stream and can continue to crash test his computer, and we'll get together. I'm going to say I probably would like to play quote unquote something. I'm not sure I want to play that game. I've got a lot of other stuff I want to try and play with, and I got like my Sega Genesis I'm trying to get going, and I got that to boot. I've got this Tandy 1000 thing I want to get going. I've got my MC10 I'm trying to tweak to get the picture to clear up. So maybe I'll tinker while we live something tonight if you guys are up for that. I'm potentially up for that. Not necessarily ready to jump into playing that particular game, but I've got other projects I wouldn't mind catching up on. So I would say strong likelihood, Curtis.
Okay.
The thing I wanted to mention was that I'm in the process now of working on the latest Glenside Color Computer newsletter, CoCo 123. And while I do have a good amount of content submitted to me already, this is going to be a pretty robust issue as far as this newsletter has gone. If anybody has anything they would like to add to the newsletter, you've got till next weekend or even sooner to get it to me. So send me some content, a program listing, or even a news article. If there's something that needs to make its way into the news, just make me aware of it, because we do try to put news in the newsletter, ironically. I've got a content from Alan Murphy's in there. I've got another person from the mailing list send me a nice little program. You're going to like this one, Curtis. He has written a program that he's benchmarking on different systems and operating systems. So he's got stuff written in Forth and in BASIC, and he's tried it on different 8-bit systems, and he's got something in BASIC 09 versus DEC B. So it's a really cool thing he's done where he's benchmarked this program on different 8-bit systems in different languages. And he actually sent me a revision to it after he found out about the tweaks you did to BASIC 09. So that's going to be a kind of a cool article. His name is Stephen Pereira or something. He sent me that from the mailing list.
I've heard the name before.
Yeah. So there's going to be some good content coming in. This is going to be a chock-filled newsletter.
Did you take ads?
Well, speaking of taking ads, I wanted to get an ad for the Crikey cable in there. And so Ken Reichert, if you're out there, if you could get me a nice full-page ad, I can run all of Coco Man's products on one page. I do want to put in an ad for Rally SG. So Nick Marentes, if you can remember, send me a nice full-page promotional graphic for that. I'll throw that in there. I'm Michael Pitsley. How can we be able to get a copy of the newsletter once complete? You can get it from the Glenside Color Computer website, glensideccc.com. Click on Documents, go to Newsletters, and you can see all the past and present newsletters there. If you're on the mailing list, we typically, when it's ready to go out, I also post it on Facebook. I post it on the news group, CoCo News Feed, mail list, whatever it's called. And if you're a subscriber on Tandy List, you'll also get notified that it's come out. So we do try to.
I think we just need to get Mark Oberholzer to send it to all the Apple people, and then we'll get Aaron to send it to all the Amiga people. And
yeah, it's a digital publication, so it's PDF, and it's slowly getting prettier. And speaking of digital publications, I know that the new Rainbow magazine is in the works too, and Paul Thayer, who's very digital publishing inclined, is working on that right now.
Yep, he's got a good mock-up so far.
Yep. So anyway, just a last-minute call for submissions, contributions, and ideas and content for the latest CoCo newsletter. Anybody else parting thoughts, final thoughts?
Well, Ken's asking when the deadline is.
I need it soon, Ken. A couple of days if you can, because we're going to try to drop this by next weekend. Whatever the
Fletcher on it.
Yeah, whatever. I think there's a meeting Thursday, a Glenside meeting Thursday, so we're going to have some final things. I'm sorry, Brian Schubing, what are you holding up there? Anything? Okay, never mind. We're probably gonna. I can't see it. Your digital background's screwing up whatever you're holding up there. Before next weekend, hopefully by midweek at the latest, to be safe.
Hey, do you know if Comrade Gimes is going to have some continuing?
We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah.
What?
Tune in next week.
David O'Connor, what are you holding up there? You're holding up a cassette tape.
I was just going to say, when next time Rick Adams is on the show, I'll do an update on the cassettes he sent me, the Temple of Rum cassette.
Okay.
So.
Oh, there you go. Brian's found the electronics training binder book. Look at that 3-ring binder. This is fancy schmancy stuff here.
Yeah, it's got section 11 and 12 from the commercial electronics course that include for the color computer. I actually found most of the documentation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we should definitely get that scanned in.
That's cool.
It goes through all of the stuff about the disk drive and color bug. Who remembers color bug?
Not I.
I remember Z-Bug, but not color bug.
It's similar. That's the color bug is what NRI put together for assembly language for the Color Computer 3 training.
Okay.
So is this whole thing, this kit that you've got here, is this like say somebody wants to get in and design their own electronics to plug into the cartridge port or something and access it? Is this a kit that teaches you how to do all that? Is it?
Pretty much, yeah. The school went out of business in the late 90s. Is NRI schools out of Washington D.C. and but you could get the kit, for doing different types of courses like building a TV, building a radio, doing all sorts of different things, and it furthered your education and how things work electrically, electronically, TV, audio, and such. In this case here, they had the for the color computer in this particular kit.
That is neat.
So.
Yeah, we're missing that now in our education. You got people who want to go straight to college and take on, $40,000 in debt and not be able to get a job. And then there was a time when trades were more prevalent. And I think that is missing, an emphasis on trades and tangible skills that, are still needed, that aren't really being, the training is not being offered. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad was in the pipe fitters union, and he learned how to do air conditioning and plumbing and welding and carpentry, and he learned like a multiple of skills that have been handy for him his whole life, and he got all that stuff right out of high school. We don't have like those trade things and learning tactile skills anymore. It's like, I'm going to be an engineer, or I'm going to be a software designer, or I'm going to, get in the medical field. But there's so many things that if people learn how to do it, they could get work and they would have some skills. And, we're missing that,
STEM is not going to be for every kid.
No.
That's not going to work. So there's definitely a place for the wood shop and the auto shop and drafting, and all of which I actually took.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I went to school, trades was where the people who didn't have the strongest academic went. That's what the teachers did. If you were really, really smart, you go to university and get your whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And trades was for those which is wrong. It's completely like.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
I disagree in a way. You have to play towards your strengths. It's good to learn that stuff, but also doing the trades. Basically teach a man how to fish, he can feed his family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trades are more. Trades are more.
But we don't like fish.
Trades are more removed from outsourcing.
We want hamburgers.
Yeah. I was in the sign business, and I learned how to. I was learning how to paint signs. My father, he was a journeyman, and then I had to become one. And while you're doing that, you learned how to do electrical, work with plastic. I did welding. I learned how to dig holes. Put
Unfortunately,
signs in holes. Yes. So.
I'm not saying that's how I feel.
gone.
I'm saying that's what we were kind of.
Yeah, there is a kind of a mentality about that, is that, you know, trades are for people who are good with their hands and not with their head, and it's just not true. You have to be. I'm sorry, you're going to say something, Rick.
Yeah, I was going to say, unfortunately, electronics are turning into recent calculators where there's a keyboard, a chip on board, and a display, and there's not really much you can do in there.
Component wise.
Where a CoCo 2, you could hack the living out of that thing.
Yeah,
You could make it into anything you wanted it to be. And that's gone now. And what are you going to do if you're a kid?
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. Like, when you used a computer back in the day, it was a mystery. It wasn't user friendly. You had to figure things out, and you had to invest your mental energy into learning what to do with the machine. Now everything's so user friendly and touchscreen and blah blah blah. Nobody cares about the mystery behind the machine anymore. It's just and we throw them away. You know. So.
Are you guys telling me I shouldn't do my getting started UI?
No. We're saying that's the way the world is now. Is that you have to do your UI?
You guys know I've made most of you. I say, please read the manual, not because I'm being mean. I want you to help me make sure that the manual is good.
Absolutely.
Now, look, we had
and Stevie, did you read Ken's
article today of a guy that is younger than our kids who was taking apart a CoCo and trying to figure
to clean it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he's found something he can work on at last.
Yeah,
that's great.
The too long didn't read generation isn't completely hopeless.
No, that's good. That's good.
I do like Ken's quote in the chat here too. He said, "Give a man a fire and he's warm for a day. Set a man on fire and he's warm for the rest of his life."
And if he needs a fire, give him Mr. Dave. So
when I left high school, I actually left high school to do a trade. You know, my official qualification is radio tradesman. And, that's not it. It's not even a thing anymore. Radio tradesman isn't even. They don't even offer that course anymore. But it was invaluable for me because I learned, ground level through hole electronics and how to get your hands dirty and design and build your own gear. I love it. I still do it now.
Absolutely.
Well, the cool thing about PCs when PCs came out, there was so much software that if you wanted to do something, there was usually a program that you just had to find and use it. And back in the day, you couldn't find anything to do anything because
you had to invent it.
You either made it or
or you copied it from somebody.
And nowadays, it's a bunch of proprietary classes and things that you don't have access to, and you would need a team of 14 people just to put together a fairly simple game.
Wait for next month's Rainbow.
Hey, Stevie?
Yeah.
James Jones actually asked a question. I don't think you addressed it. Will you ever do an evening programming session?
We could. I don't know about tonight, but yeah. This is where, and this is the end of the show, we're reminding and asking for things. I need to put out a call for two. I would like to get a few people who are maybe interested in being backup streamers for the show, because right now we only have one backup and it's Mark B. I would like to have another backup or two. If you're interested in doing that, contact me and we can go over the details. And because at that point, like even tonight, let's say I get a food coma, I don't feel like doing anything, Mark B right now can stream a show. So if you guys decide you want to spin up a show after hours, we can. If we have a few more people doing that, even if I'm not interested in it personally, we have somebody else who can stream it. We can have any show we want any evening, as long as we have the person who can press the button and make it happen. And we got a few people to do the content. But yeah, I did like those few late night coding sessions that we did, where it's kind of a group thing. That was kind of fun. So yeah, I'm putting out a public call for that. If you're interested and available, we can get into the specifics as far as technology and bandwidth and software. Don't need to make that a detailed discussion now, but so reach out. All right. You guys ready to press the button?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, we will most likely have some type of random evening session. What is that, Michael Furman?
It's just the USB adapter.
USB to serial?
RS-232 USB.
Is there any TTL in there?
Inside there is
ESP,
How about a real-time clock?
RS-232, drivewire,
Sorry.
drivewire, TTL.
The button, comrade.
All right. Comrade Gimes says press the button. Say goodbye, everybody.
Press the button, Frank.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.